The following interrogations of two 16-year-old killers have never been seen before on YouTube.
I just killed Cassie. We just left her house. This is not a f***ing joke.
I'm shaking.
I stabbed her in the throat and I saw her lifeless body just disappear. Dude, I just killed Cassie. Oh, fuck. That felt like it wasn't real. I mean, it went by so fast.
Shut the fuck up. We gotta get our act straight.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
Just 4 days after filming this video, Brian Draper sits alone in an interrogation room. He gets up and looks outside before shaking his head and sitting down to play the air drums. He takes out his wallet and reorganizes its contents. At first glance, it might seem he's not taking this seriously, but as his questioning goes on, it becomes abundantly clear that he's trying unsuccessfully to calm his nerves. And Brian has more than enough reason to be nervous. 4 days prior to the taping of this footage, a sweet local 16-year-old girl named Cassie Jo Stoddard was brutally murdered while house-sitting for her aunt and uncle. When the homeowners arrived back at the residence, their 13-year-old daughter stumbled upon the horrific scene of her cousin's bloodied body on the living room floor. The question echoed in everyone's minds: who would have committed such a heartless act upon the vulnerable young woman? Authorities immediately started looking into who Cassie was with in the days leading up to her death. On the night of Friday, September 22, 2006, Cassie did have some guests over. Her boyfriend, Matt Beckham, and two classmates, Brian Draper and Tori Adamczyk. Brian and Tori departed the get-together early, but shortly after they left, the power in the house went out. There were also strange noises emanating from downstairs. Eventually, some of the lights in the house started to flicker on and off. The couple was feeling very uneasy, and Cassie hoped her boyfriend would spend the night, but his mother declined. She did offer that Cassie could come sleep over at their place, but the responsible teen reluctantly stayed behind to fulfill her house-sitting duties as Matt's mother came to pick him up around 11 p.m. The next morning, when he tried to contact her, there was no response. With the knowledge that Cassie's two teenage pals, Brian and Tori, were some of the last people to see her alive, detectives went to Tori Adamczyk's home on the 24th, the very same day her body was found. He told them that after saying goodbye to Cassie and Matt on the 22nd, he and Brian had gone to see a movie at a local theater before spending the night at his house. Investigators found it curious that he was unable to describe what the film had actually been about, though. Reportedly, a similar unrecorded initial interview took place with Brian that day as well. The police then brought Brian Draper in for questioning on September 26th. Tori would be brought in the day after for a second interview as well. Tori's parents were in the room with him this time. The interrogator's first objective here will be to try and corroborate or discount the suspect's alibis. Brian is agitated and fidgety as he waits. He puts his hand over his face and slouches, subconsciously trying to make himself small and less noticeable. The interrogators enter the room and immediately establish a friendly and calm mood, likely putting an already anxious Brian more at ease.
Hey, Brian. Hey. Here we talked to your folks, and just kind of told them they're filled in, and they're comfortable with the fact that we'll sit down and kind of, the other night we hashed over some things about, where you were and all the details and stuff, and, as you well know, as you recall, you're one of the last three people, to see Cassie, and so it's so important and critical that we just answer some questions and we get by some of those things, and so kind of preface that with your folks. They're good for you sitting in here. I want to remind you that, of course, you're not under arrest. Okay, you're free to leave, and if you don't have to answer any questions that you don't want to, and at any time you can walk out that door and go hook up with your parents. Okay, so we're not making you stay here for any reason. Okay?
Tori's interrogation started similarly, with him also being strategically seated close to the door in a move that makes him feel free to leave whenever he wants, which, although technically true, is a false comfort given the gravity of the situation he's gotten himself into. Unlike Brian's more closed-off mannerisms, Tori gazes intensely at the interrogator, which indicates an intense curiosity.
We're going to start I know we talked the other night about, first of all, why we're here, and we're investigating a homicide.
Yes.
That Cassie Stoddard was murdered.
Yes.
And because of the fact that you were, one of the last three people there, and you had knowledge of her and stuff like that. It's common course that we want to go and interview people and find out what you know. We'll go ahead and start first. I guess as I recall in the statement before, you've known Cassie for about how long?
From 10th grade.
Okay. So you've known her for a little while.
Yes.
Brian and Tori differ in many ways, but their darker interests just happened to converge in a way which created the perfect storm for this awful crime to take place. According to Brian, when he met Tori, the boys started talking about how it would be cool to commit a crime inspired by the Scream movie.
So what is your relationship with Cassie?
Friends.
Okay. Is it you ever dated her or anything like that, or just strictly kind of friends? How often do you see her, maybe during a week?
Every day at school, but this would be my third time hanging out with her outside of school.
Fair enough. Let's talk about Friday, and I think the date was the 22nd.
The interrogator will now attempt to gather information and establish a timeline leading up to Friday, the day of the murder.
And that was the night that you guys went up there to visit. Can you tell me a little bit about maybe at school or something, how you learned or how you come to go up to Cassie's place or out to that place she was house sitting?
She told me on Thursday that she was having babysitting the house, basically.
Okay.
House sitting.
Okay, so you guys decide to go, plans are made, it's Friday. What time do you get ready? What time do you end up, how does it work out that you and Brian head out to?
What time
I'll just refer to as Whispering Cliffs, okay?
Yeah.
Fair enough?
Whispering Cliffs is the street address of the home Cassie was house sitting. Tori's mother is helping him recount his timeline.
Mom, what
What?
time did I leave from our house
Um,
on Friday?
it was after I got back from taking Jamie to the game.
It was about 6:30 or
Yeah,
7.
6:30ish.
About there.
Okay, between 6:30 and 7,
Yeah.
you left your house.
Yeah, and I went and picked up
Maybe it was
Brian.
7. Probably, between 6:30 and 7.
Okay, and
Picked up Brian.
you were driving your
Yeah.
that red, is it Jeep?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's your car, you get back and forth in. So you drove that to Brian's house
I picked him up, and then
about around what time do you think it was?
I don't know, maybe 7, between 7 and 7:30.
Okay.
In reality, Brian and Tori had planned to kill Cassie on that very Thursday he talked about. They filmed themselves in a car that night, saying that they'd snooped around another girl's house, but she wasn't home, so they were going to call up Matt and Cassie. In that tape, Brian spoke. "There are friends, but we have to make sacrifices. So, I feel tonight it is the night and I feel really weird and stuff. I feel like I want to kill somebody." For whatever reason, they didn't go through with it that night.
There should be no law against killing people. I know it's a wrong thing, but hell, you restrict somebody from it, they're gonna want it more.
We found our victim, and sad as it may be, she's our friend. But you know what? We all have to make sacrifices. Our first victim is going to be Cassie's daughter. She's going to be alone in a big, dark house out in the middle of nowhere. How perfect can you get? I mean, like, holy shit, dude.
I'm horny just thinking about it.
Hell yeah.
At school the next morning, Brian recorded a short video of Cassie by her locker.
Have you seen Tori? He's supposed to meet me here at 7:30, and it's 8:19. He's an hour late. You don't even care, dude. Okay.
And so, at school, I told a whole bunch of people that there's gonna be like a party there and stuff, and that she's gonna be home alone for the whole weekend.
Okay, how good? Now let's talk a little bit about that. Why did you like a whole bunch of people? What does that mean? Does that mean 10? Does that mean 20? Does
I
that
told
mean 5?
a group of 10. I believe it was like 8 or 9.
Okay.
Exact number, of course. And I was talking to them and stuff, and it said that they would tell their friends and stuff.
Okay.
It was actually just Matt, Brian, and Tori who came over on the night of the crime. Although we can't be sure if Brian actually told a bunch of the other kids that Cassie would be alone at the house that weekend. It seems like something he could have easily made up, hoping to make the interrogators believe that any number of students could have had the necessary knowledge to take advantage of Cassie's vulnerable situation. And in fact, interrogators would deliberately bring this point up to Tori the next day, asking if the party was common knowledge at school. This already sets him up to be more at ease, because the logical progression in his mind would be, the more people who know, The more suspects there are, and the less focus there will be on me. Well, nice try.
Did you tell other people about this?
Yes.
Okay, so it's maybe common knowledge at school that
Yes.
she was going to have a few people over.
It was
But it really wasn't going to be this big
a
wild
lot
party
of
or anything
people
like
knew
that, right?
about it, but yeah.
Tori responds very quickly, anxious to accept that extra cover.
Did they say what time that party was supposed to begin?
Well, I said I'd be there around 8.
Okay.
Tori mentions planning their trip to Cassie's at school that Friday.
You hooked up with Brian and you said, hey, we should go to Cassie's place.
Yeah, we were planning that during school.
Okay.
In reality, he and Brian had indeed used their class time that day to plan the night out, but it wasn't concerning fun activities with friends. Instead, they taped themselves saying things like, hopefully this will go smoothly and we can get our first kill done and then keep going. And, I'm sorry Cassie's family, but she had to be the one. She's perfect, so she's gonna die.
September 22nd, 2006. We're skipping our 4th hour. We're writing our plan right now. I'm sorry Cassie's family, but she had to be number one. We have to stick with the plan. And she's perfect, so she's gonna die.
After school, they linked up before heading out.
Let's see, okay. So I called Tori around 7:45 or something like that. And then he came and got me at around 8 o'clock.
The interrogators confirmed some details about the vehicle they took, as well as some phone calls they made around this time. Not only will they check that these calls were actually made, but they also may look for cellular tower location data to confirm that they were made from the spots the boys say they were. And this will become crucial as the phone calls get closer to the time of the crime. Brian and Tori eventually found their way to the Whispering Cliffs residence, and you'll see that the interrogators ask very open-ended questions about what happened when they arrived. This is a common way to let the suspect apparently control the narrative, while also paying close attention to what they add, omit, or even alter in the timeline of events, as compared to what the interrogators already know. This helps to establish their general trustworthiness, or lack thereof.
Then what?
Then we saw Matt up on the front porch, and he said, "Hey guys."
Is that like up on the balcony? Is that
Yeah.
up like on the second level?
The balcony.
And so
he
he
said,
come out of the
"Hey,
house
guys,"
to
yeah.
greet you. Okay.
And so we were inside the house, we're like, oh my crap, and this is a huge house and stuff. And so we went.
How do you get into the house?
You go up the balcony,
Mm-hmm.
then I think it's like that.
So you ended up entering the
door.
house at the same place where Matt was standing
Yes.
greeting you.
Yeah.
But did you notice there was a lower door too and a garage door?
I did.
Okay, well, you didn't go in that door. You went in the second level.
Yes.
Okay. And then what?
Well,
You guys went into the house.
walked
I
inside.
assume. Both together. Tori was with you.
Yes.
The interrogator is starting to thumb through notes. He's attempting to distract the suspect and make communication more difficult, but the suspect doesn't seem to notice.
Okay.
And we saw the house, and it was really big and stuff, and we're like, oh, this is cool, you know? And then I remember asking Cassie, where is everybody? You know, she said, oh, well, I'm not sure when it came. So we sat down. I remember she had a big video.
So you went there and you went into a first room. Did you go into a living room, a hallway? What was
There's
it?
a living room on the left side.
Okay.
I remember there's a staircase.
So what's the first thing you did when you arrived there? Did you just go into the living room or did you
Hello.
go throughout the whole house?
I walked
Check out
around.
the house.
Yeah.
Okay, was you escorted by anybody or
I
you
was.
just
Matt.
okay, so Matt, like,
You walked me around and stuff. I'm
okay,
like,
just
all
kind of
right.
showing you every, so you basically looked at every room in the house, got
Just
the
the house.
lay of the land.
There's a
okay?
lot of rooms there, yeah.
Okay,
There's tons of them.
all right. So you arrived there, what happened when you get there?
Cassie and Matt gave us a tour of the entire house.
Just back up just a little bit, so you drove them drive, did they greet you at the door? Did you say
Matt was outside on the deck and he waved to us, and then he went inside the house and we just walked up the stairs and walked
Okay. So you walked up the stairs, you saw a basement door going in maybe and a garage door.
in.
See, this is the garage door right here.
Yeah.
Was there a door here, a little man door to walk? Did you
Oh
move
yeah,
through?
there was.
Okay, so you went by that door, but you went up
We
the
went
stairs.
up the stairs
Second
through
level
the front
entrance.
door.
Okay. So they greeted you there.
Uh-huh.
You went inside?
Yes.
And what happened as soon as you went inside?
We looked around where the entry hall, and then we got the tour of the entire house.
Now,
We
did they take you on that tour?
Yeah, they did. They showed us around.
The interrogator made sure to call attention to the lower entrance to the house and the fact that Brian and Tori became well acquainted with the layout of basically the entire home. Because of this exploration, they learned of many entrances and places to hide. Later, when they left the home, they would make sure to leave a back door, which leads from the garage into the basement, unlocked, so that a sneaky re-entry could be made without alerting Cassie or Matt. A bit further into his account of the get-together, Brian starts talking about going through a movie collection at the home, and the investigators zero in on this topic.
And then I saw that he had a big video collection. So we looked at a bunch of movies and stuff.
Okay.
And then I think...
Did you look through those movies?
I did.
Okay. Do you like movies? I mean,
yes.
What kind of movies? What's your favorite kind of movies?
I like horror movies.
Okay. So you like horror movies?
Yeah.
What's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie, what genre?
Is what?
Well, like what category?
What?
There's a lot of them.
Is there? What would you say is your favorite movie of all?
Of all time, my favorite movie would have to be... There's lots of choices. To be honest, I would have to say Halloween. My favorite movie.
Okay.
It's a good one.
Good movie, it is.
That's a pretty good classic.
Yeah, it is.
For any other interrogation, asking someone their favorite movie might seem a little off topic, but for this case, it is absolutely relevant. Not only does it serve to get the suspect to relax and talk more comfortably, but it's actually a theme that comes up again and again in this case.
Did you pick a movie out of it? Were you going to watch a movie?
I wanted to watch Domestic Disturbance, but that's not what Terry wanted to watch. So he got Kill Bill Volume 2, I believe.
Okay.
We watched that. And
did you watch the whole movie? Did you guys all go in the living room and watch the movie?
Yes, yeah. And I was on the couch. I was on the far wall.
Okay.
And Matt and Cassie were kissing and stuff.
Okay.
And Tori was right by the TV. They had a huge TV.
Brian says they watched a little of the movie, but then around 8:50 he was feeling a little bored and said he should probably head home. Matt purportedly said he needed a ride, and Brian says Tori promised to come back and get him. Brian starts talking about when they left the house, but then the interrogator cuts him off to bring up an unexpected subject. Brian had earlier described the other friends enjoying popsicles at the house, and now the investigator asks what they used to open them.
When they were eating popsicles, were you in the kitchen? What were you using to open them? Were they these ones you have to cut the top open, or did you tear them with your teeth, or how?
You had to cut the top of them open.
Okay, so how were they opening the popsicles?
I remember there was a knife in the drawer that had like a child hang on it.
Okay.
And Matt was like, oh yeah, I showed him how to open it and stuff, and he opened it for me, and then he did it.
Okay. So did you touch that knife at all?
I think I held it first, yes.
Okay. Did you see them using the knife?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then did it was laying on the counter when you left? Was it put back in the drawer? Was it on the counter? Do you know what it was?
I think it was put back in the drawer actually.
Okay. But you saw that, and Matt showed you. Matt apparently helped you get that knife out of the thing. Okay. And then why did you handle it?
I was trying to find like a pair of scissors, and I found that, and I'm like,
okay,
this might work.
Okay.
So I just touched that.
Okay.
This answer goes outside of Brian's prepared story, and he's getting nervous.
But you didn't have a popsicle stick of your own to open. You just helped them open theirs, or?
Yeah, I didn't have one.
All right.
I'm not a big fan of those kind of popsicles.
Okay.
The interrogators wanted to know if and why his fingerprints would be on a knife in the house, and now they're about to transition into asking about another key place in the home that would be strange for Brian and Tori to have touched.
So you downstairs, now you got the popsicles out of the freezer downstairs? Is that where you got
it
it from?
the freezer.
That's where they were? All right. Well, did you see any other room downstairs? Did you go in the room that was in the corner? Room in the corner?
Yeah.
Tell me about that room.
That room was kind of cool. It had like a couch, it had like a TV in there. It had like a fridge, like a microwave, I believe.
Okay. So you check out that room. Do you notice anything about that room was the lights on in it when you were there?
Lights were off.
And so you guys had to open the door.
You turned it on. And I remember thinking it was kind of out of, in the way of the house. Kind of a weird place to have a room. So.
Okay. Did you notice anything on the walls? Do you know what
painting or whatever?
Well, maybe like that, but you know what an electrical panel is? Like the breaker box that you turn the breakers on in the house?
Like the steel thing?
Yeah, it's like a steel panel door, and then it's got breaker switches in it that turns the power off to everything. Do you remember seeing one of those on the wall?
I have it in my house, yeah.
Okay, do you remember seeing one on the wall in that room?
I didn't even think of it, no.
Okay, you didn't think of it or you didn't see it?
No, I didn't see it.
Okay, but you might have if the door would have been hanging open on it, you probably would have noticed that. Maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, so you didn't shut the door on it. It was open, so your fingerprints wouldn't be on that panel for any reason. You don't remember shutting the door or putting your hand
I
up
walked
against
in
the wall.
there. I don't think my prints would be on that because I didn't know exactly where it was.
Okay, but you didn't recognize a electrical panel in there.
I didn't recognize anything.
It's something you certainly wouldn't be fooling around with normally. I mean,
No,
so you'd probably remember touching something like that because they're dangerous.
probably.
Okay,
Yes.
good enough.
So I didn't touch.
These questions suggest that investigators have already found Brian's fingerprints on the panel in the downstairs room, and they are silently gathering inconsistencies to use against him later. Tori was also specifically asked about this room, but said he just looked through movies there. The reason investigators are so fixated on this room and the panel is because this lower level of the house is where the build-up to the murder took place. You see, what really happened after the boys left that night was that Brian and Tori parked down the street and returned to the Whispering Cliffs residence only about 15 minutes after they had said goodbye to their friends. While in the car, they had filmed their gleeful anticipation of the crime they were about to commit. At around 9:53 p.m., Brian spoke on the tape. Unfortunately, we have the grueling task of killing our two friends, and they're right in that house just down the street. They talk about how they've waited for this a long time and are now ready.
The time is 9:50, September 22nd, 2006. We know there's lots of doors. There's lots of places to hide. I locked the back doors, so it's all locked. Now we just gotta wait.
They put on dark clothes and masks before equipping their knives and creeping back into the home. Once there, Brian and Tori wanted to scare Matt and Cassie as much as possible before actually going through with their horrible plan. So they used the electrical panel to flip the lights on and off as the couple sat watching TV upstairs. They also made loud noises, even throwing 2 ashtrays at the bottom of the stairs in an attempt to lure Cassie and Matt downstairs to check out what was going on, but they were unsuccessful. This is what the boys were really doing that night, but of course, as the interrogation goes on, Brian tries to cling to the story that they went to the cinema. However, it's clear that police likely have eyewitness accounts of people seeing their car parked in the neighborhood, and so Brian is desperately scrambling to explain this away.
Tickets for the
Movie.
Oh, okay, so you're going to go get tickets to go to the movie.
And so
You didn't park anywhere though in between, so there'd be no reason for like a
we
neighbor
stopped for like
to see
maybe
your
2
car.
minutes
Where at?
to find a cell phone called Matt.
Okay, so was this in the neighborhood, just not far
Yes.
down?
No, I was like maybe 20 feet away from the house.
Okay,
Then Matt wanted us to come back and get him.
so this is not, no, track me because I'm just, it's probably me, I'm not understanding. But, so you leave the house and you're just like, you're 20 feet down the road.
The interrogator keeps saying it's probably just his fault for not understanding. He's not directly calling out how little Brian's story makes sense, but rather using this method to have him repeat key details and find any inconsistencies.
And then you called Matt.
Yeah.
But you hadn't been gone from the house for, what, a minute or two, right? I mean,
Well, we didn't call Matt yet.
okay, so you
We
stopped there to
drove to-
find the cell phone.
Yeah.
How long did you stop there for?
5 minutes.
Okay, what were you doing?
I was talking about the movie and stuff.
Okay, talking about
Going
going to the
to
movie? Okay,
Okay.
talking for about 5 minutes,
About
right?
5 minutes.
Okay,
Then want to keep going?
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, so you didn't
Yeah,
make a
back
phone
to
call
movies.
from there, you kept rolling.
No. Came back to the movies. We got the tickets and stuff. And then we
Now, I'm
called
just going to
Matt.
back you up and slow down just a little bit so I can make sure and get all the details here. You find the phone there, you guys talk for 5 minutes there.
Brian is clearly trying to speed through this dishonest section as fast as possible. His description of their supposed trip to the movie theater is similarly dubious. And now the interrogators will start to get very specific about locations, positions, relative times, and chronological sequences of events. This suggests they already have a timeline they are working with and want to snuff out additional flaws in Brian's story.
We wanted to see Click. But it started at 9:45, and we watch movies a lot,
Uh-huh.
and we like to see the whole movie. So, and I think the only one playing was Pulse, and that was at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
So we went inside there. I remember calling Matt inside the movie theater.
So that was it still 9:45 or was it a little later when you called Matt so we can match up that phone call?
Maybe 10:26. I think 10:26, 10:27.
Okay.
The phone calls with Matt during this time period are extremely eerie. Once we know the context, Brian and Tori indeed told him they had to speak quietly because they were at the movies. In reality, they were directly below the couple in the downstairs room, lying in wait and trying not to give away their position.
Who sold you your ticket?
I remember it was a guy. I remember that.
Was there anything particular about him?
It was just a guy in the movie theater.
Okay.
Did you know him?
No.
And so we got go. You buy it from the guy. It's 9:45. Rough. Do you think it's 9:45 when you go inside the lobby there?
So
if someone sees you there, they're going to see you at 9:45.
Probably.
Okay.
Okay, but where is the movie at?
I think the movie's on the right side.
Okay, and then where at? Is it the first theater? You guys turn and go in?
Is there any way you can help us out with a map of the theater to show us kind of where the movie was in there so we know? And again, we're just trying to confirm, you know.
Yeah,
that,
of course.
So, you know, you can do another page if you want. Just flip the page.
No, flip page. Yeah. Alright. Okay, box here. Parking lot over here. That's where we park, by the way.
And you're absolutely, unequivocally positive that you two went into Pulse. You two bought tickets for Pulse.
Yeah.
This is an attention-grabbing technique to redirect the suspect to this particular interrogator, who, up until this point, has been mostly passive. This is a classic technique when asking, "Are you absolutely sure of XYZ?" to get the suspect to commit to a fact-based answer, which suggests the interrogators know something contrary, and they want an explicit lie or contradiction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And then,
Andy asked you about the guy that was taking the tickets, just so we know.
Yes.
Do you remember what color hair he had? Do you remember anything about him at all?
I didn't really
Remember anybody else there working behind the counter?
Unless I was talking
Do you
to him.
recognize anybody?
No, I was just talking to my friend.
Some sources claim that the investigators actually interviewed the employee who worked the ticket booth that night, and it was a female who knew Tori and Brian from going to school with them, and confirmed that they had not been there at all on the Friday night. If true, this obviously directly contradicts Brian's claim that the employee was a random man he didn't know, and explains why the interrogators keep touching on this point.
Now, as soon as you bought tickets, you went in there at 9:45, but the movie hadn't started because it starts at 10, so you had to hang around in the lobby for 15 minutes, right?
Well, no. We went to the bathroom.
Okay.
And then they went to theater.
Okay, so you
You're
went
allowed
right
to go in
in?
there like a few minutes before it starts.
Sure. Okay, so where at do you sit in the theater? If you could just drop...
I guess I don't understand about the, you go in and buy the ticket, still 9:45,
Yeah.
correct? And then you buy the ticket, but you're inside.
Yeah.
So then you go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
And you come back out. Now, they're not letting you in the movie until 10 o'clock.
And then I go to the movie, maybe 10 minutes before it's...
So they were sitting and everything, so it wasn't like wait until 10 o'clock, right? So you got in.
We had to wait a little bit because there was a movie in there before, I think.
Okay.
That's what happened.
All right.
So you just hung out in the lobby?
No.
No.
We stayed in the bathroom, and then we talked about some stuff. And then went to theaters and stuff.
Both interrogators are playing off one another here. One seems to not understand that you can enter a theater a few minutes before a movie starts, while the other does. Although Brian is being accurate, and anyone who has gone to a movie knows it would be reasonable to enter a few minutes before the starting time, the interrogator pretending not to understand this deliberately pushes the issue. It seems that they are really trying to get Brian to admit to hanging out in the lobby so that they can then see if witnesses confirm or deny their presence that night. But Brian finds ways to dodge this by saying they were in the bathroom or dark theater. The interrogators are actually taking turns with hard cop, soft cop, which keeps Brian off balance. He doesn't have a rapport with either interrogator and therefore is unable to relax from this point onwards.
Do you remember what the coming attractions were, the trailers, on the movie when you're sitting there watching it?
I remember...
Where'd you sit inside the movie? On the next page, just go flip the page again.
Wherever I was sitting.
Just draw the movie house, a big square movie house, and I want you to just kind of give us a general location in the room.
Okay, stairs. We always sit in the middle, so we were...
Yeah, I mean, you always do, but did you this time sit in the middle? Okay, was there a lot of people in there?
It wasn't like, a full house or anything.
Estimate how many people you think were in there.
Half.
Like 10 people?
No.
5 people?
More
20
than that.
people?
I remember. Well, it wasn't like full. Maybe half of the theater, probably. Not half wasn't packed. I don't know. It just maybe. If I would have to say a number, I'd say about 30.
About 30?
Yeah.
Okay. Say this is the whole big building, this is the whole thing, and this is where you go, and this is a little ticket booth maybe right here, and then, you can go to this theater, or this theater's back here. Which way did you go?
I think it was right. It was the right.
Okay. So you went to the right, and then do you remember where the theater was once you went to the right? Just kind of in the general location of the building. Was it clear at the end? Was it right in front? As soon as you just don't remember that?
No. I
You
just
don't remember seeing the sign or anything?
I remember.
Because there's a lot of movie theaters in there, right?
Yeah. It was all of them. They went to the theater.
Okay.
The interrogators continue to question Brian about the movie theater before they take a clever new approach to determine whether or not he was actually there. Question him about the movie itself. Here's where his lies come to a head.
I'm trying to ask you, maybe some details about the movie. Do you remember any, the coming attractions, the trailers, the previews that they do?
I do know that from what I saw, it's kind of like a sequel to White Noise.
Okay.
But there was no original characters or anything.
So what was the movie about? I mean, you watched most of the movie?
I don't know. Well, there's a girl there.
Okay.
I sat. She was maybe 2 seats away from me.
Okay. What side of you was she sitting on?
On my right side.
On your right side?
Yes.
2 girls, right?
There's a girl and she had a friend. Yes.
Like Tori, Brian doesn't remember any specific details about the movie at all. Now he's going to make up a story that he was distracted talking to some girls, and that's why he wasn't paying attention to the movie, even at one point making the bizarre claim that he followed one of them out of the theater while she called her dad.
So you were talking to them?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we got a hold of them, they would know, they'd remember
Yes,
that conversation.
they would remember that conversation.
And did I recall you say that her name was Heather?
I remember her name was Heather. Yes.
Okay, what about the other one? Do you remember her name?
I didn't really talk to her at all.
Okay.
I don't know.
Do you remember where they went to school or anything?
I thought I heard them say Highland. That's. But I'm not exactly sure exactly what school they went to now.
Okay.
What did she look like?
Well, she's pretty attractive, of course. She was wearing tight jeans. She had, I think it was brown hair, and it was probably about to here.
Okay. So that would say probably, what, 5'3", 5'4"?
She was pretty short. I would say 5'5".
Is she...
Well, she wasn't that short, because she's probably up to here to me. She's probably 5'6", 5'7".
What color's her hair?
I think it was brown.
Definitely brown, or was it strawberry brown? Or...
It was like my sister's hair. So it was like brown with like streaks of like blonde in it and stuff.
So you're pretty confident her name was Heather?
Just not sure if she went to Highland or not.
Yeah. I'm not positive she went to Highland.
Okay.
But you haven't seen her at Pokey?
No.
So chances
I've never
are...
seen her before, so...
So she either goes to Highland or...
Century. Or she came from out of town. I don't know.
But you heard her say Highland? I mean, something gave you the inkling
I guess, yeah. Well, I don't...
If you don't remember, that's fine.
Really
but if she said Highland, then it kind of helps us a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, good deal.
Brian seems to recognize that he's backing himself into a corner here if he commits to saying she goes to Highland, because they could easily talk to any Heathers who attend that school and verify this story. So he backtracks and says he's not sure. The interrogators have been nice enough thus far, but here's where they really crack down.
So you don't remember any details about this movie at all. How long were you in the movie for?
We were in there maybe 20 minutes, and I called Matt.
Okay.
And, let's see.
You called him or Tori called him?
Tori called him.
And you remember what time that was?
It was maybe 20 minutes in the movie.
The phone call being discussed is actually the phone call Brian and Tori made while they were hiding in the basement.
So 10:20, if the movie starts at 10.
Well, not exactly 20 minutes, but you know. Yeah.
So around 10:20, you think?
Yeah. I'd say I remember checking his phone to see what time it was at like like maybe 10 minutes of the movie, and it said 10:12, and then I remember we called them at least probably 10 minutes after that. So
Okay.
around.
So you were sitting inside the movie house
Yes.
when you called inside the theater. The movie was going.
Yes.
Who'd you talk? Did you make the call, or did
He
Tori?
called. He
Tori?
called. He called. Yes.
Tori called
Yeah.
Matt.
Tori called Matt.
Okay. And so you don't know what they talked about?
No.
Did you hear any conversation, what Tori was saying to him, or did he tell you about the conversation?
I remember he said if he still needed us to pick him up or something. He said no. His mom was gonna come. Before that, before we got back to his house, so I remember he asked me if he wanted to come and stop by the movie house, and then he said he had to go home with his mom. That's what he said.
Okay. How long do we stay at the movie? You end up going back into the movie after you've been out with Heather while she's making fun. Where's Tori at? Is she still in the movie? She's watching the movie.
Yes.
Okay. And then you go back in, you sit next to Tori again? Then how long do you stay at the movie? Do you finish out the movie?
I think we wait 5 minutes, and then I remember seeing the credits.
At the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the movie about? I mean, you're a movie buff, so these are things that you pay attention to, right?
The interrogators begin asking Brian about more details of the movie. They're still trying to establish his presence there.
I mean,
You at least
you guys,
watch parts of the movie or something. Any characters you can hook us up with to describe somebody in the movie, describe what happened, anything. What's the whole premise or the plot of the movie? What's it all about?
Well, it was similar to White Noise.
Okay, I don't know White Noise, so you're gonna have to give
Like I
us
said.
Okay, you're gonna have to give us
Okay.
some details.
Okay, it's about a guy, his wife.
I don't want to know what White Noise is about. I want to
dies.
know what this movie's about.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
And then I remember, I can't really exactly explain the movie because I haven't paid attention to it.
well,
Okay.
you know what we did yesterday?
What?
We went and watched the movie.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So,
Okay.
what is the movie about?
They are now contradicting his presence or how long he was present. Here is where they will begin picking apart his alibi.
Jeez, I don't exactly know. I remember being really bored. Kind of
So you go in the movie, you pay that money to go in a movie, and so
Well-
your story is you didn't really watch the movie.
Well, I'm talking to the girls. That are here.
Okay, but they're 2 seats away. I mean, you can be doing a lot of talking in the movie. At least you're picking up something. You're gonna pick up at least one image off the screen that you saw. Tell us about one person. Describe one person you saw in the movie. What'd they look like?
I'm seeing a man, and he looked at a TV screen. It had White Noise on it. It had the shh thing.
And that's all you saw the
Yeah.
whole movie. So how long do you think you were inside that movie theater? Grand total.
We were there for maybe 2 hours.
2 hours? You were
2
inside that movie theater?
Maybe
And you don't remember
not quite 2
one
hours.
detail to help us out. We're trying to help you out.
Yeah, I know. That's why I want to tell you. Jeez.
Okay, so let's go back to this. You go back in the movie, Tori's still sitting after Heather makes a phone call. Movie, the credits roll, you guys get up and leave?
After the movie, Brian says they went straight home to Tori's house and spent the night there. Brian's told his whole story at this point and is probably hoping that this whole thing can be over. But now the interrogators shift their tone and get very real with Brian, at the same time playing a "we want to help you, not let something bad happen to you" card. However, this is after 45 minutes of letting him dig himself into a lie.
Brian, we got some problems, okay?
Yeah, you understand.
We got some problems.
Movie.
And it's really important that this is the time in the interview where you really need to cowboy up,
Mhm.
and you really need to decide how you want this thing to fall on you.
Yeah.
The interrogator is now confronting Brian with conflicting information. He never went to the movies.
We've done our homework, okay?
Yeah.
We've talked to a lot of people. We've viewed tape, okay? And I'm here to tell you, you didn't go to the movie.
Okay.
You were not at that movie theater,
Mhm.
okay? Now, that's neither here nor there. But the thing is, you're going to have to get by that.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't go to the movie, that's fine. But you're going to have to tell us where you went so that we can put you there, because it's I don't want something to cave in on you that's not working for you.
Ryan,
Okay? We're here to help you, bro.
You
I mean,
know-
really, we are.
You know what happened, okay?
What?
You didn't go to the movie.
We didn't go to the movie. Okay, that's it.
Okay,
now listen
before
to
you
me,
do that, just listen carefully to Andy, okay?
Okay? Now listen to me. Don't underestimate how much we know.
Yeah.
Okay? I told you the first night that when I saw you that I don't think you're the type of person that could kill somebody cold-bloodedly,
Hey, well, you especially my close friend. Yeah,
especially your close friend.
of course.
Okay?
Okay. Hold on a sec. Okay.
Okay.
The interrogator is playing the kindly dad role here, the come clean so we can get through this approach. By using a softer voice paired with intense body language, he conveys the gravity of the situation, while also disarming Brian a bit.
I can tell you what we're doing. I was trying to hide this, but I guess I have to tell you now.
You're gonna have to, man. It's the only way out.
We went through cars.
The dynamic has drastically shifted here, as Brian knows that the investigators know that he just lied to their faces and likely won't fully trust anything he says going forward. Still, he tries to come clean with a red herring, completely avoiding the full truth.
And that's against the law. That's why I want to say that.
Okay, you went through cars. What does that mean?
We checked for the cars that they aren't locked, and then
Where at?
we go
Where was
inside
that?
them.
Where at?
Story had to drive. I don't know. And then we called Matt because he wanted to come too.
Okay, so you didn't go to the movie, but you went through cars.
We didn't go to the movie, but we went.
Can you
through
tell
cars.
us where you went through cars at? Because
We
if you went through,
we
did you
went-
take anything out of cars?
We didn't find anything.
Okay, so can you take us to a car that you went through, and we should find your fingerprints on that car?
We went to. I had gloves, and then we went. I remember we drove by Tori's house,
Hold on.
his neighborhood.
Hold on.
Let's just really let's re-zero ourselves, man. I can't stress to you enough that we are your best friends right now, okay? And please don't underestimate. We know you're a bright kid. We know that you got a lot going for you, and we want to help you to get a lot going for you, and we want to help you. And right now is the perfect time that we can. Man, we can really help you out now. We've got a lot of bargaining chips right now, but it just so requires, like Andy said, we possess some knowledge, firsthand knowledge. We know, and what we're really waiting for is you to come straight with us so that we can help get you out of this crap, so it's not going to ruin the rest of your life.
Okay.
We want to help you, okay? We really do, and I just really want you to believe in us for a minute. And really,
I don't understand what you're saying. I don't understand. What
you
you're saying.
need to tell us the truth.
The interrogator uses a similar tactic as his partner in emphasizing the truth. They've both gone good cop.
I'm telling you
About-
now.
Okay, so if this is the truth,
Yes, this is the truth.
you can. These things we should be able to go out and confirm.
Yes.
And cooperate.
This is. I was trying to hide this because I heard from a friend that that's 10 years in prison.
What exactly were you doing? Tell me exactly what you were doing.
We parked outside her house for.
Whose house?
Jeez, no, I lost
That's
my
right.
words.
Okay, just do
Cassie's
something right now.
house.
Let's do something right now.
Yeah.
Just take a minute. We'll all be quiet for a minute. You can take a few deep breaths. Okay.
Yeah.
Really go deep and do some soul searching and get your, get your wind back, and then you can go ahead and tell us. Okay.
Okay.
And you tell us when you're ready. Just take a few deep breaths. Like your dad said, you just need to calm down. If you're telling the truth, this is gonna be easy. If you're lying, it's gonna be a hard night.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
Now, before you go any further, okay, we have some aces in our pocket.
The interrogator's tactic of vaguely saying they have aces is commonly used when police actually don't have enough evidence. Otherwise, a confession would not be needed. Physical and circumstantial evidence is enough to convict for murder without a confession.
And what I mean by aces, I mean we have some things that we know beyond a shadow of a doubt, that we've confirmed with people and that we know. Okay? We know about the car. We know about some activities that you guys have done. Okay? So, needless to say, for you to jerk us our chain, okay? Cassie's this great friend of yours, okay?
And she's watching right now. She's hearing everything that you're saying.
She has been brutally murdered. And then you have wasted our time by dicking around, okay? And trying to lie to us. And trust me, we understand why you're trying to divert us, okay? We understand. You don't want to get in trouble. I understand that, okay? The whole point of this is don't waste any more of our time, okay? Don't underestimate what we know.
Yeah.
Okay? Because it's going to come down to one or two things, okay? We already have one strike against you, okay? You've already lied to us, and we don't appreciate that, okay?
Yeah.
These are the types of situations that you don't lie in. Everything else in this world is game. And I'm a firm believer in that. I don't give a shit if you lie in anything else to a cop, whatever. When it comes to a murder of a beloved friend, you do not lie, okay? The second part of that is I want you to take a deep breath, and I want you to think about what part of this that you're involved in. Okay, how much of this are you involved in?
Involved in what?
Brian is trying to play dumb here when he's well aware it's a murder investigation.
In what we're talking about with Cassie, okay?
You think I'm involved?
I want you to continue. I want you to keep talking to us
because
about
we know
the
some
cars.
things, Brian. Okay, and I'm saying we're your lifeline. We can help you now, but we can't help you later. We can if you tell us. I mean, we're willing to let bygones be bygones. You told us the first lie, so what? We expect that. Just let's clean it up and let's make it right. Let's look man to man in the eye. And let's get all our cards on the table, and let's talk about. And we're here for one thing. We're here, to solve what happened to Cassie.
Yes.
And we didn't know.
Watch this next moment carefully.
If you were involved in that, and if you are, that's fine. We can deal with that.
Fine.
We can deal with that. If you were involved in that, and if you are, that's fine. We can deal with that.
Fine.
We can deal with that.
Brian begins to smile and laugh in response to being asked if he had anything to do with Cassie's murder.
But
You guys are ridiculous.
we're not
I
being
didn't
ridiculous.
kill my friend. Why the hell would I kill Cassie?
He even smiles when he says, "Why would I want to kill my friend? Why would I kill Cassie?" Before catching himself and recognizing his expression isn't matching his words. He corrects himself by attempting to portray sadness.
Oh, I don't know who killed Cassie.
Doesn't it seem weird that all of a sudden now, you left a place in the house, and now you've already told us the first lie. Now I'm hoping that you're gonna come clean and you're gonna tell us what
I'm
really
telling you
happened.
exactly what I know. All right, we left her house. Okay, we parked over here by the grass.
Okay.
We called Matt. I don't know exactly what time it was. It was probably 10:15. Probably not 10:15. That's too much. I don't know. 9:40. I guess. He said he'd get back to us.
Get back to about what?
About the cars.
So we should expect Matt, because
We were
let me stop
supposed
you.
to
Let me
come
stop
back
you
and
one
get him
thing.
and go
Let me
to
stop
the
you one thing. Matt's taking a polygraph tomorrow. Okay.
Okay.
And a lie detector test.
Of course. I know.
We're gonna ask that.
Okay.
Okay. Now you're saying that he has knowledge of that. You're gonna go through cars.
Yes.
Okay.
Polygraph tests are usually not admissible in court, except under very few exceptions. The cops are either lying or trying to make more of the test than is realistic. They are preying on the suspect's ignorance of admissibility of evidence in court.
Yes.
So that's true. That's,
Yes.
that's straight up. And
Yes.
that's something we're gonna be able to bounce off, and that's gonna be. So we should be able to go ask Matt. Isn't it true these guys call and say they want to go through cars?
Yes.
Okay. She called in about 10:15, maybe less,
Yes.
maybe before.
Yes.
Said, okay, do you want to do it? And he says,
He said he's not sure. He's going to call his mom and see if he can stay out. And then, yes. And so we probably waited about 20 minutes from about 10 o'clock, of course. And then we called Matt again.
so this would be about 10:20.
We called Matt about 10:20, 10:30.
Okay. Called him again.
We called him again.
Second time. Okay.
Yes. And he said his mom was coming to get him. So, and he couldn't go. So we left and went through cars.
Where'd you go through cars at?
We went to a neighborhood by Tori's house. And then I remember there.
Okay, you gotta be. Now
This is
listen
what
to
happened.
me. Listen to
God.
me. You gotta make sure that you can verify what color cars, because we have to go verify all that.
I don't know what color cars. We just checked all the cars.
How did you do that? You had gloves on, huh?
Yeah, we just checked all the cars.
What kind of gloves?
You got those gloves?
I should have them, yes.
Where they at?
They should be in my room.
What kind of gloves?
I wore them for soccer. They're the soccer gloves.
Okay. So, you know what? I want to, more than anything in this world, be able to go around Tori's place and find cars that have been broken into.
Okay.
Okay? That's what I want to do, more than anything in this world. Okay?
Yeah.
Do you go back up to that neighborhood and park anywhere?
We park on the side of a road.
Back up in this neighborhood?
Yeah.
Okay, we're talking about Whispering Cliffs out there, 2.5 miles. If you go back out there.
No. We don't
Like
go
where
back out
Cassie's
there. No.
Okay, so I'm here to tell you that if we have information that we see that car parked there where you said, a different time, later that night.
Okay.
How do you explain that?
We weren't parked there. We were there. Let's see. We were there 10.
Let me ask you this: you didn't go out to go through cars. You didn't park down the road and get out in that neighborhood and go through cars.
No. Oh well, like the one, like by her house.
Cassie, where you left Cassie and Matt up in that neighborhood.
Yes, we parked.
From
there's a big tree.
So you parked there and you got out of your car and did you go through some other cars there?
Yes.
Aside from coincidence and all that kind of stuff, when you got out, you parked there. Did you go back to play a prank on those guys?
Prank on him?
On Cassie and Matt?
No.
Did you go there just to screw with them a little bit and pro prank?
No.
Okay. You're solid about that.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Okay. Well, you did get out in the neighborhood and check a few car doors.
Yes.
Okay. With the intent to burglarize those cars? You're going to take some stuff out of them, right?
The interrogators keep going back to this playing a prank option.
You guys didn't go back and things got out of hand, you played a prank?
No.
And things went weird?
No.
Because if it did, I mean, we can work through those things. I mean, that's fine. I mean,
we didn't
it's
go
not fine if somebody got killed, but it's like, don't dig your hole deeper, because you know what I mean. We didn't start off on very good ground here.
I know.
The interrogators have likely already heard from Matt about the flickering lights and loud noises that night, and they are trying to offer Brian a less serious alternative that still gets an admission that he and Tori did indeed return to the home that night. This way, they would be able to get their foot in the door and build off of that point.
I mean, I've got some feelings, and you know, I got some ideas what went down, and it's just going to be up to you to come to realization with
exactly
it.
And they're not going to be happy. That's why I was trying to hide.
That's beside the point. There's a little more serious things going on here than that right now.
How many cars roughly did you open?
We opened maybe 4 or 5.
Okay.
A lot of them were locked.
Okay, and so you got into 4 or 5?
Yeah, about 4 or 5.
But you didn't take anything. No CDs.
No.
I mean, this is the one time in your life that somebody needs to come up with something missing. I mean, that somebody needs to verify.
Yeah, but
something you did. You should tell us something that we can go
Take
back
anything.
and we can say you did this. aside from being charged with it, I mean, we don't care about that. We want to go back and be able to say, yep, your story fits. Think, is there anything that we can go back and make your story fit?
No, there wasn't anything in the cars. So
Nobody saw
I didn't get
you?
anything.
You didn't see anybody?
There was a mother that was yelling, and at like her kids or something. Then she walked outside, and then we kind of scurried off early, because of people there.
Okay.
Did you go from behind the house and come back up the hill?
Asking about Brian's movements up a hill suggests there is evidence, such as tracks or footprints, in some area around Cassie's house that may link him to the scene. And sure enough, there were tracks left by Brian and Tori all around the home Cassie was house-sitting.
Get back up the hill, then.
Behind the house Cassie was house sitting for. No reason why.
We didn't go back there after that, no.
You didn't go back to the house.
Well, like what time?
No. At any time, have you gone down that hill to the road down below?
Like.
At any time in your life, have you ever gone from the road down below, not, you know where the driveway is?
Yeah.
Okay, behind the house, gone down that hillside and down to the road?
I do remember on the way out, we're having a hard time, like, you're trying to find everything.
What do you mean?
Like, I do remember.
No, listen. Okay, so listen to me. Okay.
Take a wrong road.
I'm gonna show
You're
you.
walking. Did you walk out the back of the house? Did you walk up that side of the hill?
No.
You didn't go back there on Saturday out to Cassie's house, did you?
No. I called her though.
Talk to her?
No, she didn't answer.
You're saying at no time would your footprints ever be found behind this house?
No.
Going down the hill to a road?
Oh, I went to see her dog that was on the left side. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you go down the hillside down to the road just to check it out?
No.
Okay, you didn't ever do that?
No.
Okay, what about Tori?
No.
Okay.
So you went out to where the dog was, right?
Yeah.
In Tori's interrogation, which you'll recall took place the day after Brian's, he skipped right past the movie theater excuse and also tried to rely on the car burglary story, probably having already heard that their plan A had utterly failed.
So what was the purpose of parking there?
We were scoping the neighborhood
Why?
because we were planning to go through cars.
When you say go through cars, what do you mean?
Oh, see the ones that are open, we don't go through any with alarms or that are locked. We just walk by, push the handle, and if it's open, we get in it and steal the gas money or change.
So have you done that before?
Once this year and in 9th grade.
Okay, so it's something that, familiar with?
Yes.
However, like Brian, he's incredibly vague about where they looked at cars, and even tries his best to breeze past the conversation altogether.
We got out of the car, we got out and looked around for about 15 minutes.
Look around, what do you mean? Did you stand
We just like, okay, here's where we are, we might go this way, and then this way.
Okay,
And
which way did you end up going?
And then we got back in the car and we called Matt because we were planning to invite him to go with us.
Okay.
But we didn't want
You're
Cass.
losing me just a little bit, because I'm not quite understanding what. You guys get out of the car, okay, and you're out of the car for
We
15
just
minutes.
look around
Did you
and
stand in one place?
no, we walked out down a little the road and then we'll turn around, we'll walk down this way and walk down this way. We walked back to my car.
Okay, let's talk about these cars, because now it's pretty critical that we know, where these cars are, and so you can walk us back to these cars, and so we know, exactly, where these cars are parked.
The interrogator makes it seem like he is helping Tori to establish vehicular burglary as an alibi, but he is really letting the suspect lie in order to further establish the propensity for not telling the truth. By continually discrediting the suspect's story, the police and DA will rely heavily on forensic evidence to tell the true story of what happened.
Remember, description of the cars, the color of the cars, what kind of door handles they had on them.
I don't know what kind of cars. I don't usually pay attention to that. We passed a lot of cars.
Were these cars parked on the street?
On the street, we don't.
They're all parked on the
We
street.
don't go into cars that are in driveways usually.
When you went into these cars, so you can't give us like a color of a car?
I've gotten
Like
a
first one
white
come to-
one.
Okay, a white one?
I can't remember what kind it was though.
Something interesting about deception is that a truthful person will often fill a story with a lot of detail. On the other hand, most people are not good liars, and filling in details to support a false story is difficult. In Tori's story, the detail is heavy in some places, but very weak in others. So it'd be hard for the interrogators to make a judgment call at this point. That is, if they had nothing else to go on.
Are we going to be able to verify your fingerprints there?
Probably not. I used my sleeve to open it.
Did you have gloves on at all?
No, I didn't.
Sure, you didn't have no gloves?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
The interrogators ask for one piece of evidence that would show Tori really stole from cars that night, and he says he has a CD case. But then, his parents actually voice their own doubt that this is true.
Okay, so you might have gone through some other cars. Did you get any other items
No.
that you have? That
I don't really
CDs,
still.
tapes?
Yes, I have a CD case.
We just took one out of a car?
Yeah, I have a CD case.
As you may recall, Brian stated they didn't find anything as they were going through cars.
So you got into 4 or 5?
Yeah, about 4 or 5.
But you didn't take anything? No CDs?
No.
Yes, I have a CD case.
And to make matters for Tori even worse, his own mother is about to catch him in the lie.
Was that from that night?
Oh yeah, I can't remember. That was from another night. That wasn't from that night.
Oh, okay.
I better remember
There's
because they're
a
getting it down.
CD. There's a CD case that I said, whose CD case is this?
You said it's
And you
David's.
said it's Brian's
No, he said
or
David.
David's.
When was that?
So that is a stolen CD case?
Yes.
Well, you better start thinking about where you got it.
Do you remember it was that night?
I don't think it was because I think we've had it for, it's been sitting downstairs in our family room waiting
Yeah.
for David to come and pick it up or whoever's I
Was that
think
the
it
same
was.
CD case you're speaking of? That she's speaking
Yes.
of? 'Cause she probably wouldn't have seen the one that you had
No,
that
she
night
saw the one I stole.
on Friday night.
It was.
It could have been this weekend or it could have been the week before. I cannot
No.
remember. I remember there was a CD case and I remember saying, when did this CD case, whose is this? And there was all these movies.
Tori begins feigning confusion and scrunching his eyebrows.
DVD.
A
CDs.
stack of them.
Yeah, they were CDs from the CD case.
Well, we'll
They
think on
came
that.
from that CD case.
Yes,
But not that night or yes that night?
I'm pretty sure it was that night.
Okay.
I
And
can't
you
remember.
think he came from a van
Yes.
down on that street somewhere there?
Yeah.
White van.
Yes.
Ford.
I don't know.
No, it couldn't
Windows?
be that night, Tori, because
It
they've been
wasn't.
sitting there stacked up for 2-3 days.
2-3 days.
Yeah.
Well,
those
that was
CDs.
Friday night, though.
No, I mean 2 or 3 days before the weekend.
I can't remember.
Right. We'll take the white CD out of computation. Okay. We'll go on to see if we can't find something else there.
Okay.
Tori says once they were down looking through cars, they made one last call to the Whispering Cliffs house at 10:48. This is important because it indicated to Tori and Brian that Matt would not be staying with Cassie for the night. This goes to the issue of opportunity to commit the murder. The victim would be alone and no witness in the house.
So I
Okay.
said, Matt, do you need a ride or not? And he said, no, his mom should be there any time now. So me and Brian just left and went back to my place.
So safe to say it's about 10:48 p.m. You make that
Yeah.
final call, and he says, "No, really, man, I'm going home."
Yeah.
Now, Tori's parents are about to verify the approximate time he got home that night, and so Tori has to make up a reason why they didn't head home immediately after that last call, asking if Matt needs a ride. The excuse is pretty weak.
Then what do you guys do? You and
We
Brian,
went through our findings. That took
which
about
wasn't much
5
because you only
minutes.
said
Yeah.
it was some change.
Yeah.
And did Brian have something else?
He didn't have any merchandise.
Nothing?
He just
Did he have a
had,
couple bucks?
what?
Nothing.
He just had a couple bucks.
Okay. You guys sat in the car. How long did you sit in the car? Is at some point in time where you didn't really leave there?
Maybe till about 10:55.
10:55.
Between 10:50 and 11:05. Between there.
So what were you doing in this period of time?
That's the time that we were looking through and just gathering up everything.
Okay, help me because I'm still remember? So you get back to the car and you make the call. It's 10:48 according to the cell phone. It's a 2-minute call. You call Matt. And you confirm it that Matt's not. You don't have to take Matt for a ride. He's going to stay there or whatever he's going to do. Long and the short of it is you're not taking him with you.
Yeah.
So what do you do then? You guys you sit in the car. You say you went through your stuff, but you said you didn't get much.
I just pulled it in my pocket, looked through it, and then dropped it in my changes. Then I went into my back seat, just looked around because all my books and stuff were thrown around out of it, my backpack, from my school.
Okay, so
so I just basically straightened that up.
What's Brian doing?
Brian's just sitting there
So you're just spending this time tidying up your car?
Talking, pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Then we left between that time.
In reality, Tori and Brian were murdering Cassie during this time period, around 11 p.m. or a little after. We know this because at 11:31 p.m. they filmed this video of their reaction.
I just killed Cassie. We just left her house. This is not a fucking joke.
I'm shaking.
I stabbed her in the throat and I saw her lifeless body just disappear. Dude, I just killed Cassie. Oh, fuck. That felt like fucking real. I mean, it went by so fast.
Shut the fuck up. We gotta get our act straight.
Back in Brian's interrogation, the investigators cleverly ask him if he and Tori did everything together that night.
So you're going to say that whatever Tori did this night, you did as well?
If with your cars, yeah.
No,
Tori's gonna tell us the same thing when we talk to him.
Yeah. I think he'll come clean too about the movie.
Brian mentions he did come clean about the lie, the movie. He's trying to reassure himself that he's telling the truth and, by extension, assure the interrogators that he is being truthful at this point.
There's nobody that's going to see you guys sneak back into the house.
No.
That didn't happen.
No.
And there's nobody that's going to see you around the house on Saturday.
No.
We're not going to find those people.
No. We were at our house at all.
Did you have anything to do with the murder? Did you have anything to do with the murder of Cassie?
No. No, I did not have anything to do with the murder of Cassie.
To Tori?
No.
Watch this clip carefully.
No, I did not have anything to do with the murder of Cassie.
To Tori?
No. No, I did not have anything to do with the murder of Cassie.
To Tori?
No.
While Brian is saying no, he's shaking his head yes. And he actually does this twice.
No, I did not have anything to do with the murder of Cassie.
To Tori?
No.
His body language doesn't match his words. This is known as incongruent body language and may possibly be a sign of deception.
Okay, and you're being square on that.
Of course.
And if we offer you a polygraph test, lie detector test,
yes.
We're going to ask you those questions.
Take it. Yes.
We want you to take that.
Of course I'll take it.
Okay.
And you're not going to fail it. I don't need you to fail this test.
Well, they're what? They're 90% sure, right?
No, they're about 96.
Okay, well, then yes, I should say yes.
Okay. And they're pretty simple. I mean, there's not a lot of hocus pocus on them. Okay, they're pretty simple.
Okay.
Okay.
Polygraphs are not actually 96% accurate. Otherwise, they would be admissible in court. So this is merely an attempt to intimidate Brian, and it seems to work. Next, the topic of conversation now shifts back to the topic of horror media.
Tell me about the play that Tori's been writing, or the movie.
Well, there's a film festival in January. So we wanted to make a movie, and then go there and yeah. And
Did you ask Cassie to make a movie with you?
Yes, we wanted to be like the main character and stuff.
What's the movie about?
We were making like a slasher flick.
What is it?
Like a slasher flick.
Okay.
Like Halloween and stuff like that.
Okay. And what's the theme? Tell me about the movie.
Sometimes criminals will fantasize about a crime and script it out under the cover of a movie script, play, poem, etc., to appear innocuous. The interrogator asked Brian to explain the idea for the movie in a bid to get him to admit the fantasy of the movie was acted out with lethal results. It's an effort to reassociate the suspect mentally with the crime if he is disassociating himself from the crime by using the device of the alleged movie script.
His idea was totally different than mine.
Okay, let's hear yours first.
My story, there were 4 kids. You won't know, but
Okay,
the script.
No, there were 4 kids. Would just kind of just give us a general idea of the movie.
Okay.
Where do you got it? I mean, have you written it out yet?
No.
Oh, okay.
This idea.
Just kind of in your head.
Okay. There was 4 kids and they had their parents with them.
Okay.
They drove to a cabin in the mountains, you know. And let's see. I named the guy John MacArthur.
Okay.
And he's the killer guy. And let's see. And the mom and dad get killed, you know. But then they escape.
Who kills the mom and dad?
The John
MacArthur?
Yeah.
MacArthur. Okay.
Okay. And then
Who's this John MacArthur guy? Is he just...
he's just an imaginary guy.
He's the manager, you said?
An imaginary.
Oh, okay. No, but in your story, how is he?
He's the...
He's a slasher guy?
Yeah, he's a slasher guy.
Where does he come from? Is he?
I haven't thought about that yet. I probably should
Is he just in the woods like Friday the 13th, or?
I haven't really just... I don't know yet.
So what? So did the kids get killed too, or they get away?
No, they escape.
Okay.
Then 20 years later, they go back to the cabin.
Okay.
And they stay there, and of course, then they see him again, and that's that's about all I really.
Okay. What about Tori's version? You said his is a little different. What has he told you kind of what his version is?
His version's it's similar to mine, but we had to speak about the name and stuff. His is what's about the they get attacked, and I think his version. I think like half of the kids get killed in his version.
Okay.
But
how do they get killed?
Well, by the guy, of course.
But how? How does he kill him? What's he killing with?
Butcher knife, you know.
Butcher knife. Okay.
Like on Halloween.
All right.
And then.
Does he wear a mask?
No.
What does he wear?
I haven't thought about that. He wears maybe. Probably like a jumpsuit or something.
Like Jason?
Yeah. Well, actually, Jason wore a jumpsuit, but.
What?
Oh, but Jason didn't wear a jumpsuit.
Who wore the jumpsuit?
That was Michael Myers.
Oh, it was Michael Myers. See, he does know his shit. And Halloween, right?
I do, yeah.
Okay. So who's more bad, Michael Myers or Jason?
I like Jason more.
Okay. What about Tori?
He's more of a Halloween fan than a Friday 13th fan. But.
So does Tori have a knife collection?
Oh, no. He has these little
collection knives?
Throwing knives. They're about probably that big.
Okay.
And he has like a pocket knife. That's all I ever saw in his house. Okay.
Tori's friend would later testify that he bought 4 knives for Brian and Tori, one serrated and the others not. He's been asked to help make the purchase at a pawn shop since he was 18. Now the interrogators will move on to touch on the boys' emotional connections to the victim, which plays into the motive of why they would want to harm her in the first place.
Do you love Cassie?
Like, love as a friend or love like...
You kind of have a crush on her a little bit. Did you have a crush on her a little bit?
I did. And I was about to ask her out,
okay.
But then Matt did.
Brian would later explain that Cassie getting together with Matt struck him hard, because in his mind, it was just another affirmation that he was a loser.
I always thought that they were bad being a couple.
Uh-huh.
You know, because he likes to smoke weed.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't. And Cassie hates it too.
Mm-hmm.
And Cassie's against doing drugs, and I'm against doing drugs, and Cassie's against doing, like drinking alcohol and stuff, and I am too.
Right.
And I met her before Matt, and I was gonna ask her out and stuff, and then he just moves on, and
he ends up with her.
Yeah.
So.
But that's cool because they're happy together.
I mean, did he tell you about having sex with her?
Here, the interrogator is attempting to establish Brian's impulse reaction to Cassie being involved with another boy.
I remember.
Would he brag about that?
I remember I went to the bathroom when I was at their house, and there was a condom wrapper in the toilet. And then I asked him about it, and he said that I had sex with her. Before he came.
Did he talk dirty about her? Or?
No.
So to make you a little bit uncomfortable when you guys watch the movies where they're kissing and stuff like that, it was like, do I have to do that in front of me?
I guess it's kind of like that, yeah.
Okay. So what about Tori? Did Tori have a crush on her too? I mean, you guys kind of both like her a little bit? Or?
No.
Okay.
No, he was more friends with her than...
Okay.
But Tori told us he liked her.
It's unclear if the interrogators are lying to get a reaction, or if Tori said this in his unrecorded initial interview, as Tori never stated this during his taped interrogation.
That he went out, he went to a movie with her and stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we went and saw the Hillside Vibes previously.
Okay, but I mean, he said that he felt pretty much the same way that you did.
I did not know that.
Well, I wouldn't be sharing that with him, okay? But that's what he's saying.
I didn't know I had Cassie.
Tori actually let it slip in his interrogation that he hated Matt at one time.
Did you know that Matt, her boyfriend, was going to be there too?
Yes.
So, and you're also familiar with him?
Yes.
Friends with him?
I hated him last year.
Okay.
And then I didn't really hate him. I didn't really know him.
Right.
I just disliked him at school.
You disliked him because?
I don't know. It's a lot of things.
Just the way he acted, or?
He annoyed me pretty much.
Fair enough.
He even makes a point to say that Matt wanted to spend the night, but Tori didn't want that.
Matt wanted to know if he could come with us, and me and Brian.
At that time?
Yeah,
right there?
And we said that he wanted to stay the night at my house, and I said I should ask my mom first. And I told him that I should ask my mom in person rather than over the phone. I was never really wanting him to stay the night.
The way Brian and Tori talk about Cassie and her boyfriend speaks for itself. Perhaps they had a sort of, if I can't have you, no one can mindset.
Then we happen to find out that you're in the area of her house. Not only you guys in the area of her house, but you guys are wearing gloves.
Yeah, we're going to cars.
Okay, so... And then, oh yeah, by the way, just so happens, Cassie ends up dead, and she's been stabbed, okay?
What usually happens on things like this is, guys like you come in and straight up, you tell the truth. And maybe you hold back a little bit more because you don't want to go all the way, and then somebody else that we interview comes in, i.e. Tori, and comes in and gives it up. Leaves a guy like you in the cold, and then you're like, dang it, I should have been up front first. You know what I mean?
Front with what?
About killing Cassie.
I can't be
I'm concerned about that. You know what I mean? I'm not sitting here accusing you, but I got to tell you that I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned you had something to do with it.
The interrogators are now using soft and caring tones to play the friend role and put the suspect at ease, while launching into the prisoner game with Brian. Who will rat out the other person first for a lesser punishment? That's the question they're trying to stick in his head. Police often employ this tactic when there are multiple suspects, and they are unclear about who the guilty party is among the group of suspects. There is an enticement that, we will go easier on you if you just tell us the whole truth before someone else does. The problem is that charging decisions are not up to the police. A district attorney makes that decision, and that decision is vetted by the court in pretrial hearings or preliminary hearings.
Yeah, I'm saying okay because your story's not washing, bro. It's just not working for us. It's not working.
The truth. This isn't a story. This is the truth. This
okay, but last time you told us this was the truth. And it wasn't a story. You even put it on paper, man.
But I didn't want...
The interrogator is indicating that Brian now has no credibility because he lied about the events prior to the murder. This is where they try to finally break him down into telling the actual truth.
My parents said I was going to do cars because they...
But so you didn't want us to solve Cassie's homicide then because you didn't really care enough about that to tell us the truth up front. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You understand where we're going with
Yeah,
this?
yeah, I can
Remember I
see
told
that.
you that night? I said, if any time in your life, this is the time you need to tell the truth.
Yes, I should have told you about the cars then.
But if there's something else,
No.
you need to tell us. You went back in the house and you played a prank.
Are you sure?
on Cassie.
No, we didn't pull anything. No,
All right, man.
You're not turning the lights off.
No.
You're not playing with the lights. You're not messing with them. You're not doing that kind of stuff.
No.
When you go back.
I mean, you're not getting into the trying to scare them, just screwing around, spooking with them, and then you guys get out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens or no?
No, it did not happen.
All right.
And you're going to pass a polygraph when we ask you.
Yeah.
Okay. And you have, or we have a promise from you that there is no more lies, right?
No, this is it. This is it. I don't know why you even think I would kill my friend.
Come on.
It could
Give
happen.
me a
I mean,
break.
you
Give me a
get
break.
you get wrapped
Close
up in movies.
friend.
You get wrapped up in movies. You get wrapped up in all this
I
culture.
knew you would say something like that.
The interrogator is tying the fantasy of horror movies into action in real life. He'll now switch to playing bad cop to apply pressure.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, we've got to wonder. I've got to get through those things. I mean, you guys are like heavy into this stuff. It's not like you haven't seen it before, like in movies.
You're sitting there in disbelief wondering, how the hell could they be thinking this?
But then you
I'm
watch
in the
this stuff
area.
all the time.
I've lied to them. I'm wearing fucking gloves. You know? Dude, you gotta see,
Well,
you gotta
see through our
understand
eyes?
where we're
You're a
coming
smart
from.
guy.
I understand what you're saying, yes, I guess.
Do you know, I mean, you guys are making this tough for us.
Yeah.
Because when we catch the person, and we are gonna catch them,
Good.
the people,
Okay.
then you guys have muddied the waters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? No, it's not just I mean, that's not good. Okay? That's not a good thing at all. You need to get into a car with us, and you need to show us what houses you went to.
The interrogator is telling Brian what he has to do to prove his innocence. This is a classic pressure technique.
That's what
I
needs
can't
to happen.
exactly, like, say exactly what
And dude, you're
houses.
you're not putting yourself in a very favorable position in this investigation.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Okay?
Alright.
A classic pressure technique is shown here. In reality, Brian merely needs to get a lawyer and stop talking at this point. When left alone, we can clearly see Brian beginning to break. The first thing Brian asks the returning interrogators is how his parents are reacting, just showing us how juvenile he really is, despite his horrible crimes.
Talk to my parents.
Well, I mean, you can talk to
We just
you.
talked to them. You're going to go back out here in a second.
You want to talk to
How'd they
them?
react?
You know, you
They're
got great
supporting you,
parents,
man. They're
man.
supporting you. They're supporting you. They want what we want. They want to get you out from underneath something. If it is, they're totally 100% supportive. We're a team, and you've got great parents, man.
I know I do.
I'm telling you, and you already know that, but they're willing to stand beside you and support you on this thing. But like I said, this car burglary thing's non-issue.
Despite Brian's brief relief, the interrogators are quick to let him know he's not out of the woods yet. They know he's not telling the whole truth. At this point, the interrogation has been going on for a good while, and part of their strategy is to psychologically wear Brian down. They know he wants the process to end, and often a suspect will think that a confession of some sort, even to a lesser crime, will bring the unenjoyable experience to a close.
Ryan, John and I have both been doing this for 20 years.
Oh, okay.
Okay? We've both been doing this a very long time. I've been sitting in these rooms many times over and over and over. And I'm not very good at a lot of things in my job. But the one good thing that I am good at is reading body language. Okay? So I see you the very first night, and I tell myself, you know something, Brian is not going to be the type of person that if he's involved in this, that can handle this. He may be able to put on a show for a few people, but you know what? Down here inside, it's killing him. It's absolutely killing him.
Brian appears to have a resigned look on his face and may be beginning to break.
So I just kind of filed that away. And I keep putting the big scheme of things together, and I keep putting the big scheme of things together, and we talk. I mean, God, we've talked to so many kids. And you know what the kids are telling us? The kids are telling us Brian is pretty cool. Pretty cool dude. But Tori is pretty ruthless. Tori's kind of different, okay?
While it's debatable whether or not the other students described Brian as cool, the detective is telling the truth about what other students thought about Tori. One student who was interviewed by the detectives and wished to remain anonymous stated that Tori was obsessed with knives and horror films. Tori and Brian were so obsessed with horror films they were writing their own horror movie script. Tori and Brian's movie script was about a boy, girl, and little boy being killed. They heard Cassie tell Tori that she wanted to be in his movie. They heard Tori bragging about committing the perfect crime and how he watched killing movies and actually took notes during the movies on how not to get caught while committing a murder. Tori liked to mess around and pretend he was stabbing people and cutting their throats at school. Tori had a crush on Cassie for at least 2 years.
Not just one. I'm saying we go down the line. I mean, you've seen us at Pokey, probably. I mean, we've had detectives there every day going through, talking to people, getting information. I mean, we've been flooding everything that we can, and it's all coming back, and we put it up on a great big board, and what does it say? It says Tori, 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 bad, okay? Brian, 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 good.
The interrogator is on read technique step 2, moral justification, such as placing the moral blame on someone else, shifting the blame away from Brian onto Tori.
Then we start theorizing things. We know that Brian is not being truthful about the movie. We picked up on that in a second, okay? But we had to go prove it, okay? The second thing is that we know that you're not being truthful about the car burglaries. You know why? Because your body won't let you tell a lie, okay? I can read it in you. You are not the kind of person that is just a cold-blooded person that doesn't care about things, because you do care, okay? The car burglary thing is not happening, okay?
That's what happened.
Brian continues to lie, and the interrogator quickly minimizes the denial by ignoring it, so they can redirect focus onto acknowledgement of the crime.
Somebody has got you mixed into something, regardless of what level you're mixed in, to something that you do not want to be involved in. You don't want to be involved in this,
I don't.
okay? There's no way in hell that you want to be involved in this. But, Brian, you are. And you know, the thing of it is, none of us go away.
Yeah,
you know,
I understand.
You know, we can get hit by a Mack truck tomorrow, and there's going to be another fat guy sitting in a chair, okay, going over the same questions, saying the same things, that this isn't adding up and this isn't adding up, okay? Brian, we know some things that you don't know that we know, okay?
Okay.
And we know that you may be able to leave here and think that, okay, I've got him fooled, maybe even call Tori up, okay, dude, this is what's going on. Okay, this is what we need to say, this is what I told him, okay, I told him about the car burglaries, but you know what? We're not buying the car burglaries.
That is the truth.
Brian continues to lie by reinforcing that the car burglary story is true. The interrogators quickly redirect Brian to their assertion that the story is a diversion to prevent him from becoming entrenched in the lie and thinking they believe it.
Cassie is dead. She's not supposed to die, but she does. And you know what? I think you see it. I don't know if you're there. I don't know if you're on top of it. I don't know if you freak out and you do it. I don't know if Tori does it, but you know something? You're there. I can see it. I can see it in your eyes. I know by the evidence that we have that you're there. Okay?
I was there before.
I know that you guys come back. I know that you come back. Either it's you or it's Tori.
Well, I don't know who it was, but I did not go back to the house that night, I swear. I did not go back to the house.
Okay? You're not being truthful with us about the car burglaries. Don't even insult us.
I'm not trying to insult you. We did go through cars. I mean, that's the truth. It's exactly what we did.
Brian, she was not supposed to die.
I have no clue.
You didn't mean
How did you
for
feel
that
about
to happen.
Cassie? Tell us how you feel about Cassie dying.
I'm extremely sad. You know, she came to lunch with us all the time, you know?
How'd she die?
So I'm really sorry.
How'd she die?
I don't
Tell
know.
us how it happened.
They said it was like the Nori Road, or the Nori Jones case.
Nori Jones was a woman who was found stabbed to death in her home in Pocatello, the same town Brian, Tori, and Cassie lived. It appears Brian slips up here by revealing exactly how Cassie was murdered, and he tries to play it off.
But how do you know that?
The news said it was by...
Well, I'm asking you how she died.
I mean, she says that she was stabbed.
How do you know that?
Then, because first of all, Matt told me.
All we want, Brian, is like, we don't want to twist your words around. We're not going to do that.
The interrogator offers the typical lifeline to the suspect, a classic police technique of posing as an ally. Read step 5, sincerity. When in reality, police are not there to help the suspect.
We're just going to ask you, straightforward questions.
Mm-hmm.
And we just want the truth. Your folks want the truth out of you.
I know.
And they're willing to do anything to get the truth out of you.
That is the truth.
We have presented them with everything that we know so far.
We've got another group of detectives that are picking up Tori. I've got your car back in the area, guaranteed. That's a given. We know exactly
tomorrow and stuff.
We know exactly when Cassie died. Okay? I know exactly when. Okay? She died when you guys left. Right after you guys left and Matt left.
Okay.
Okay? So now you're telling me you just happen to be back in the neighborhood burglarizing cars with gloves on, but you don't go in and kill Cassie.
The interrogators start to turn Brian and Tori against one another.
What is Tori going to say? Is Tori going to say that it was Brian's idea to go in the house and play a prank on him?
We didn't go in the house.
What has he already said, bro? You know what I mean? Second Larry don't stand a chance.
I promise you, okay, look at me. If you had something to do with this, I'm going to find out.
Yes,
okay?
Yeah, of course.
If you didn't do this, I'm going to be the best friend you ever had. Okay? I promise you that. Because I am not going to rest until I prove that you did not do this. Okay? I give you that guarantee.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're in it for you, bro.
I think so.
All right, man.
So the interrogators had gotten both boys to resort to Plan B with the car burglary story. But with Tori, they want to dig a bit deeper into what the pair did later that night. But first, we get to see a moment of Tori's dad offering him support. It is sad to watch, knowing that he's still genuinely holding on to the hope that his son is innocent.
I'm glad you told the truth, Tori. I'm sorry I didn't tell you how important it was the first time. I should have spent a few minutes talking to you. The police came in, they said your friend's dead, and they asked you for a statement. I was just like, wham, bam. And I understand you're worried about the cars. I should have taken you aside before you gave them that other statement.
I was just worried about the cars because I said that the cops told him that it was 10 years per car you get into in prison.
Well, of course you were worried about him. That's a serious thing.
You should have been worried about him as you were doing that, Tori.
Well, we'll talk
But
about that tomorrow.
later.
At this point, it doesn't even matter. What matters is that you told the straight story so they can look at everything.
As Tori's dad supports him with these reassuring words of trust, Tori slowly turns his face away from both parents and looks at the wall. This is a common indication that someone has not been truthful, but hiding their face and not looking at the people who have believed their ongoing lies. It's a reaction of shame and consciousness of guilt or culpability. And at this point, Tori's situation is just going to continue spiraling downhill. The interrogators return, but now they're going to confront Tori with inconsistencies in his story. Not even his claim that he and Brian stayed home watching movies until they fell asleep is true.
Well, now we're at the point where you got to tell the truth, okay? Because there's some people that saw you common sense later that night.
Which common sense?
Common sense at
Oh wait, yeah. Me and Brian went down the gas station because Brian wanted to drink.
Tori then claims Brian then wanted to go to his house and they went a different way than usual and got lost. He says they then went to a gas station near Black Rock. The interrogator asks about what they brought with them on this trip.
Take anything with you when you left your house?
No.
Again, it's important that you be honest with us
Yeah.
here. If somebody were to see you putting a blue bag in the back of your trunk, were you taking some garbage out? Were you putting a garbage sack in there? Did you do anything like that?
No.
You don't remember doing that?
Mm-mm.
So somebody saw you open the trunk and you had some type of blue bag, you or Brian putting it in the back of your cars out in front of your house?
Do you guys have blue garbage bags?
I think
We
it
have
could possibly be.
tinted, minor tint.
Blue.
I believe they're blue.
Okay.
Probably.
Did you take the garbage out with you, dump it, and when you went out, or did you have the garbage? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out why somebody'd see you with a blue garbage sack, like coming out, like you're bringing the garbage out. But it's like.
Was it a sack full of stuff or just?
It had.
It was full of stuff.
Well, it had the sack, and then there were some items that you had apparently.
Yeah.
Did you take a shovel with you?
I think it was Brian's shovel that he borrowed.
Oh, he did?
We were gonna build jumps in the back of his yard.
Okay.
In the backyard of his
Where-
house.
Who had the shovel then?
I think it's Brian's shovel.
So where did you put it? Was it in your car?
Yeah, it was in the trunk of my car.
Okay. So it was gone by the time we looked in your car the other night.
Yeah.
So what you put that shovel in that car that night?
Yeah.
So he's gonna just take it back to his
He
house?
took it back to his house the
Okay.
next day.
All right.
What you guys did with the shovel?
We took it back next day when I drove Brian home. He dropped the shovel off at his house.
So he was going to build the jumps where?
He has in his yard, his house.
So why is the shovel in your car? If
we
he's going to
took
build
it back from my house.
I know, but why is it at your house?
He brought it over one day, I guess.
For-
I don't know why. Well, if you look in the back of my house, he probably wanted to build jumps there.
Tori struggles to hold together the flimsy pieces of his story against the clever interrogators. In moments like this, we are reminded of just how far the boys truly were from their goal of the criminal masterminds they tried to act as in their videotapes. In Tori's case, a psychologist report found him to be rather immature for his age, with a professional finding indicators of frontal lobe immaturity specifically. Additional neuropsychological testing confirmed these deficits. Notably, he also showed signs of possible depression and obsessive anxiety.
One other thing I want to touch upon at night when you're out messing around, that's why I asked you earlier, just take any masks with you. Because we have some indications that you had some like Halloween type, scary mask or something. You guys playing around with those at any point in time? Or?
We bought one earlier, but
Where'd you buy that at?
Adam saw that. It was only $7 at.
Well, I'm talking that night. You guys
That night.
had some
It was
Halloween
in
masks
my
with you?
trunk of my car for a while though.
Was it in the car Friday night?
Yeah, probably was.
Okay.
Was that the mask you guys were spray painting? Was that
Yeah.
the one? The cardboard? Or
Yeah.
whatever?
When were they spray painting?
Apparently they bought a plastic or cardboard mask and spray painted white, but that was sometime before this day.
Was it like the Freddy mask?
No.
I mean,
It was
hockey looking.
hard white.
Oh, but it looks like a hockey mask.
No, it doesn't.
Oh.
It's a regular face.
Oh,
So you could have had those with you and somebody saw you with those that night messing around with them.
Probably.
Okay.
We weren't messing around with them.
Okay. You didn't put them on?
No.
So they wouldn't have saw two yahoos with those masks on?
No.
Okay.
Was there 2 masks or 1?
One.
Very important thing to us that we gotta solve about Black Rock Canyon too. Okay. We got a car matching your description going up to Black Rock area.
Yeah, once we got up to Black Rock, we were like, oh, this is definitely not
And
it.
that car's stopping.
Uh-huh.
You're not just driving, it's stopping up there. And did you stop for a period of time up in there?
Brian stopped to smoke. I didn't want him smoking in my car.
So did you guys get out? Did you walk? Did you get away from the car? Somebody saw that car unattended?
No, we
did
did
they
not.
report that as an unattended car up there?
No.
Okay. So you guys didn't go up there and build a campfire or nothing like that? No reason why they should have saw you guys playing with those matches up in Black Rock Canyon?
No, we weren't doing that.
You sure?
Yeah.
Because there's truckers that park all along that gap right there.
Uh-huh.
And that's what we got. We got a trucker sleeping, shut out of service that night, pulled over on the road, and he sees it. He's seen the red car going up in there,
Mm-hmm.
and it's parking. Is that true? Did you go
Yeah,
up there
we
and park?
parked there. We got out, walked around the car. I went pee, and Brian smoked a little. Had 2 cigarettes, I think.
Okay. You don't know what brand though?
Huh?
You don't know what brand of cigarettes he smokes?
No, I don't.
Did you guys dig anything up there?
I don't know.
I mean, because you're probably going to have dirt in the back of your car from a shovel from dirt that's going to forensically match
There
up.
was dirt on the shovel already, though.
But I mean, we can match the dirt up. That's the good thing.
Forensic analysis of soils is actually used in criminal investigations. Mineral content is tested, and even microscopic analysis could be used. They look for biological markers, blood, saliva, etc., and test the soil for mineral content and density.
Is the dirt going to come from Black Rock?
I don't know. Brian took the shovel out, I think.
Did he?
Yeah, but he didn't take it anywhere.
Okay. So is that dirt going to match up to the Black Rock area?
It might not. I'm not sure.
Okay. Probably, though.
Possibly.
Let's talk about knives. Okay.
Uh-huh.
What do you know about knives? We've been told you like knives. You collect
No.
knives? Okay.
I
so-
have 3 knives.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you have a knife on Friday?
No, I didn't.
You sure?
Yes.
Sure nobody saw you with a knife? 2 guys in a mask messing around with a knife.
No.
Okay. All right.
Did anybody buy you a knife
No.
at Mad Mike's Pawn?
No.
If we had pawn slips that some guy in the name of John bought 2 knives at Bad Mike's
No.
to give to you and Brian?
No.
All right. We're confirming some things.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you that we need to. Now's the time. Now's the time to really start being honest with some things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We know some things to be true. We know exactly what happened. We found some things. Okay. And I want to give you the first chance and the first opportunity.
You owe it
Dad,
to your mom and dad.
absolutely.
You've got great parents. You owe it to your mom and dad to be straight with.
We are all here for you, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you. I mean, we're not here to twist anything up. We're here to help you out of a jam. If you got drug into some things, which apparently you did, we need to know, and we need to know the truth. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I guess the best way I can explain it is the house of cards is falling.
The last several minutes of the interrogation has been the positive confrontation step of the Reed technique. However, this has been a soft implementation of the step, which is not uncommon. Letting bits of the confrontation out at a time, especially as a means of controverting an alibi or sequence of events, will slowly catch the suspect off guard. This makes fixes to the story almost impossible, and also creates a slow realization that the suspect has nowhere to go with the story. Options have run out. And you see, what Tori came into this interrogation unaware of was that earlier that day, the 27th, Brian had actually already led law enforcement agents to Black Rock Canyon, which is where, as you can probably guess, the two had buried the evidence from Cassie's murder. That's right. This entire time they had been stringing Tori along and seeing what he would reveal about their trip to that area the night of the murder. Who knows if any of the witnesses they claim saw the boys that night even exist? It's possible they just used those as an excuse to explain why they knew where the boys went that night without revealing what Brian had told them. At Black Rock Canyon, they uncovered knives, a partially melted multicolored mask, a red and white mask, some clothing and gloves, partially burned notebook paper, a melted bottle of hydrogen peroxide, a box of stick matches, and most importantly, a homemade Sony videotape containing the footage of Brian and Tori planning and later reacting to the murder of Cassie. But what led up to Brian showing authorities the evidence? Unfortunately, we do not have footage of this conversation, but legal documents indicate that he had had another interview that day, this time with his parents present. He eventually admitted that he and Tori had unlocked a door at the Whispering Cliffs residence so that they could return to scare Cassie and Matt. He confessed to wearing masks, dark clothes, gloves, and carrying knives. He said that after Matt left, he and Tori went upstairs and claimed that Tori stabbed Cassie. But Brian tried to downplay his role in the crime at this point, saying that he thought it was a joke to scare him and only later realized that Cassie was actually being stabbed. He denied that he had ever touched or stabbed Cassie, and even claimed that Tori had threatened to kill him earlier that day if he told authorities the truth. After showing authorities the evidence, Brian was arrested and spent the night of September 27th in jail. So now, getting back to Tori's interrogation, the investigators will soon let him in on the game-changing fact that Brian has already spilled the beans. But first, they'll make some final efforts to get him to confess on his own.
And it's kind of, stories are falling apart and stuff like that.
Tori, you know where we're going with this.
Yeah.
You know what we have.
And we know, man, it's just one of those things. You come to this juncture in your life and you just either gotta give it up or it's gonna eat you up. And your folks want you to do that. I'm telling you. I mean, the truth is going to set you free on this. Literally, but the truth is going to set your feelings free, and you're going to get by this thing. But I'm here to tell you that we've been doing this for several days. We've talked to a lot of people. We've seen a lot of things. We've put the pieces of the puzzle together. That's what we do. That's all we've been doing. We haven't been sleeping. Okay? We know how it went down.
Tell us what happened.
With what?
Out of Cassie's place.
We went through cars, me and Brian.
This silence following Tori's lie is intentional. It's a method to get the suspect to break the uncomfortable silence and an effort to get him to tell the truth.
Okay. I'm not here to insult you or anything, but we don't believe your story. And we don't believe your story. And I don't think your dad believes your story about going through the cars. It's a tough one. And I don't believe it, especially because I know it's not true. Because we got you going into that house. When you parked on the street, we got you going back into Cassie's house. If it was a prank, if you guys are just messing around, fine. We just need to know about that prank, that's going on in there. And if it's you just there to scare him and you guys left and something happened else besides that.
Clasping hands and arms in front of the body can indicate a psychological reaction to closing off the interrogators.
Let's get that thing out of here. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But in everything that happens, there's always people that are watching. And we go around and talk to all these people, and they finally put together this puzzle. You got the trucker out here, you got the common sense clerk, you got the neighbor, you got all these people, that see it. You got people seeing your car parked, which you corroborate for us, parking in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Sean, do you guys go back in just to pull a prank? Is that what happens?
You're into that kind of stuff. I mean, for all intents and purposes, and tell me if I'm screwed up on this. But you like horror movies, you like scare movies and stuff like that. That's what I've been told about you. You dig those kind of movies, right? Thriller movies, whatever you want to call them. You dig those kind of things. Did you go in there just to scare them, just to scare the crap out of them, and be done with it? Because, there's no other reason,
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about that. Help us understand a little bit about it. Take a deep breath and do it, bud. You know the truth. The truth is easy for you. But we can help you. If we don't get the truth, we can't come together. We can't work this thing out. We can't do it. You're going to be left out in the cold.
Can I talk to an attorney?
You can do that.
Can you talk to me?
Probably, yeah.
Can I have a minute with him to see if there's
Sure,
something
you should. Absolutely.
Is this room private? You said it was
We can kill it down.
Oh, we can go in another room?
Yeah, we can stitch in another.
Yeah, let's do that. You'll feel more comfortable.
Let me make sure there's nobody in the cell room real quick. I'm going to just leave those there.
We talked about this earlier.
At this point, since Tori has already requested counsel, the officers are limited in what they can do. They can tell him what they know, what evidence they have, and what the next steps are, but they can't overtly or covertly elicit more information from him. Since Tori has not chosen to re-waive his right to counsel and to remain silent, both interrogators are on thin ice if they keep pushing the issue.
I love you, son. You know I love you. Tori, do you know that I love you? Look at me. I do love you.
Tori's father giving him reassurance here is interesting. Parents' reactions are often mixed when their children get in trouble. Some react with anger, others with support, and others just close up and shut off their emotions as a coping mechanism. His father's reaction is not unusual, but often in juvenile cases, parents are either completely absent or, as demonstrated here, they become hyper-involved.
Dad, I think we owe it to you at this point to find out what we know at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's just no easy way to tell you this. We do know that that Tori and Brian have gone back in the house, okay? We do know that the two of them murder. We do know that they murder Cassie.
Interrogators are launching into the story of what they know. It's back to positive confrontation.
Okay. We got the evidence at this point to prove that.
We found the evidence.
We also have some overwhelming evidence, trace evidence, that type of stuff that's going to prove that they did it as well. It's not just hearsay. It's not just somebody saying it.
In a few moments, the interrogators will reveal they've received a confession from Brian. During this time, Tori is looking at the ground, but as soon as he realizes Brian has betrayed him, he quickly looks back up.
And then we do have a confession.
From this point onward, Tori's demeanor shifts. Instead of looking anxious, he looks more and more angry.
You know what you need to do. You know exactly what happened, and you know what you need to do. So, unfortunately, you're not going anywhere tonight. You're going to be placed into custody tonight. Okay? I'm sorry that's the way it goes.
You're going to be charged with first-degree murder.
Okay? But like I said before you say anything, I encourage you. If you want to talk to the attorney, you should do that. I'm not pulling punches here. Still, your full cooperation can do nothing but help you at this point in time.
You understand that, Tori?
Okay.
Even though you need a lawyer or whatever, you want to talk to a lawyer, I understand that's the advice they gave you today. And then whatever you and the lawyer work out, they want
you to
cooperate.
We know the details. We've got the knife that you used. We've got the masks that you used. We've got the videotape. We've got it. There's a tape up in there that you buried. Okay? Tried to catch on fire. All that stuff. You know what I'm talking about. I don't need to tell you that.
This is right, Tori. What they're saying is true.
So
it sounds like you need a lawyer.
Yeah.
What can I say?
Dad, don't ask him anymore.
Don't ask him anymore because we don't want to go there.
Yeah.
But we want to talk to you.
I'm not a lawyer. I don't want.
But we don't
want him answering questions for you.
Right.
But I just want you to hear from your dad that it's not the end of the world. Okay? Things can only go up from here, but it's up to you. You can either make them really spiral down, or you can make them go up.
Tori is showing signs of anxiety. Grabbing at the face and putting your head on a closed fist or open hand are common but small indicators of rising stress.
And by going up, you have to come clean with your father. You have to come clean with your mother. And if you get an attorney, you gotta come clean with your attorney.
Yeah.
And then you gotta come to us. And we gotta work together to see what we can do to help you out and make this better. Okay? Okay? Fair enough.
If Brian already confessed, why wasn't he placed in custody? If Brian already confessed.
Tori's voice cracks, seeming to indicate that he's emotionally upset and psychologically turbulent.
He's in custody.
He wasn't this afternoon.
He's in custody. Trust me.
I don't know how.
2 people in custody right now. You and Brian. That's been cleared today. Cleared by polygraph, cleared by all evidence. But we know what happened. Okay?
Despite this bombshell being dropped on him, Tori still doesn't seem to grasp the gravity of the situation.
I know this is a shot. It's like I said, this is a horrible thing. But you control it, okay? Don't try to play. Don't try to play. Geez, I can continue to lie.
Show up on the news, and everybody at school is gonna know, right?
We're not gonna release it to anybody. I can tell you that, okay? What's going on here ain't going anywhere from us. We still got a lot of work to do, okay? But that, to me, is the least of your worries at this point in time.
This is a common thing to see in juvenile interrogations. They tend to do worse when their world as they know it is upended. The interrogators let Tori know they have a search warrant for his house and car.
We've got a search warrant for your house, okay?
And for your car.
And for your car. And then we'll also have a search warrant for Brian's house, okay? And then we're going to try to make this as quick and as expedient as possible.
That's fine.
And we'll do everything that we can to accommodate you and your life. I know this is one hell of a blow to you guys. I can't even imagine.
I can't either.
And I know that if there's anything that we can do for you guys as well, you know.
But I think it's worth it for us to sit down and talk after this.
We definitely have.
Nothing to do with what he's saying, just amongst us and what the game plan is. And I want you to get all your questions answered. But
so, based on what you talked to the lawyer today, Tori, you want a lawyer. You talked to him. You know what he said. If you want a lawyer, that's what you got to say. I don't know what to say. It doesn't help to tell me.
Well, he's already said he wants an attorney. So, okay. As far as we're concerned, we've got to stop. We're out of it. Okay. You know, so.
That doesn't mean he can't change his mind down the road and come visit us, come back and say after he counsels with an attorney, if he really wants to come in. That's cooperation.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he wants to cooperate.
I know he does. I know you can do the right thing. I know you're a good kid. Deep down, people make mistakes. Things happen. This is one of those things, but it'll only get worse, my friend. It'll eat you up. It'll start right here, and it'll eat its way all the way up until it destroys you. And I can tell you, there's one person watching right now. Okay, Cassie's here. She's watching. She knows. And you know she knows.
Tori immediately goes from looking at the interrogator to looking away at the mention of Cassie's name. This is commonly taken as an admission of guilt, but other research has shown it's also an indicator of remorse or sadness. It's impossible to qualify which it is at this point for sure.
Okay.
It all happened so fast.
I know. And those are the kind of things that you need to sit down and tell us once you get with your attorney, because you really want an attorney, okay? I would love more than anything to sit down and talk with you right now and try to step through these things and try to work it out with all of us in here, But I'm stepping in some pretty murky waters when you say you want an attorney, and I don't want to violate his rights or your rights. So, but we're not mad, okay? This is a shocker, but we know what happened. All you need to do, it's easy for you. Things happen fast, like you said.
Tori is left alone briefly before two men come in to search him and take his shoes.
Tori, I'm going to have you sit there, okay? Just hang tight. If you need something, we'll get you.
A drink or something?
Yeah. Well, we need you to stay here, okay? You're not free to leave.
They just need to search you real quick, make sure.
Tori, stand up, put your hands on the wall. You don't have anything that's going to stick or poke me in any knives, needles, or anything? Put your hands on the wall.
Okay.
Once in complete solitude, Tori's stress reactions are interesting to observe. First, he's frustrated. He goes on to experience a vast range of emotions as he plays over the crime in his mind, and also what went wrong in his life to lead him to this point. He's clearly reaching the, yep, I'm screwed point. There's literally no getting out of this, and the only recourse is reflection and contemplation. Often, suspects at this point will mentally go to another place. Tori's mother arrives in a bit, and both parents remain supportive.
Come on out, bud.
And we love you, and we'll just go from there. No matter what happens, we're right here.
Your parents love you, your brother love you.
Her maternal nature is overpowering any sense of anger she might express at this point.
We'll see you tomorrow, okay?
Okay.
Find out what happened, okay? If we ask Tori questions, it would be damaging.
Tori's mother says if we ask Tori questions, it would be damaging at this point. She's correct. Note the cameras are still rolling.
I love you. I love you. And it's okay.
The only remaining footage to look at is of Brian Draper on September 28th and 29th. The jig is up, and he'll now let investigators in on more details about the crime. If you're easily sick to your stomach, be warned that this is where it gets graphic. The interrogators employ almost all classic Reed interrogation techniques here to get admissions from Brian that they need for their case. This begins with step 1, positive confrontation.
First of all, I want to kind of explain to you what the heck's going on, right now. You gave us your statement yesterday. To be right honest with you, what we're trying to do is fortify your statement, okay? Last night some things took place with regard to Tori, okay? He said some things. I'm pretty confident that they're bunk. It's not true. And so all we want to do is ask you, is it true or not? He said that, certain things that you do, you know what I mean? Which I know he's just making it up.
Okay.
So, but those are things, and all we're trying to do is kind of build your story. Because, like if we told you you're the first guy through the door, and we want to, we're on your, we're on your bandwagon, okay? Pretty much everything that you talk to us about, Tori's confirming and stuff like that. So things are looking good for you.
They start off by explaining how the interview with Tori went the day before.
Okay. During that interview last night, we kind of led Tori down that path, the same path, the vehicle burglaries and stuff like that. Eventually, he put it, you guys, in common sense, like you said, okay, after you left the house. He talked about putting a shovel in the trunk. Okay, is that true? Yeah. Okay. You guys go to that common sense, and you had told us that you purchased some matches. Yeah. Now, were they box matches in a box? Yeah. Okay. And so we're asking Tori, why did Matt purchase those matches? Well, we know why you purchased them. You told us the truth. And he's telling us, well, Matt purchased those matches because you smoke. I'm blind. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry.
I was doing the same thing
yesterday. Right. But he says because Brian smokes. I don't smoke. Okay, so he said you bought those stick matches because you're a smoker and you need matches to light cigarettes. So I'm asking him, what brand does Brian smoke? And he's saying, I don't know. So in a roundabout way, he says, yeah, okay, we were out in Black Rock Canyon. We were out there. We parked the car. We got out of the car. And he said, the reason why you guys got out of the car is because you needed to smoke. And you had to smoke and you smoked 2 cigarettes up there. Okay. So, is that true? No. Okay, so you didn't smoke 2 cigarettes. Okay.
So, we drove all the way up there just so I can smoke.
As you can see, he's struggling. He's saying that you got lost on the way home.
So we went through the highway.
Yeah, that didn't. Right. You couldn't find the cutoff to go back to your house because you wanted to go to your house. And then he says, that you guys, basically, after that, you go home. Is that correct, Andy?
Mm-hmm. It's intriguing how much Brian's demeanor has changed in just a day. Although the quality of the video makes it hard to tell, he seems to be laughing and smiling much more freely here, particularly when the interrogator clues him in on Tori's fake story. It's clear that Brian is relieved to no longer have to watch every word he says, because now the truth is mostly out. They then ask him about the evidence he led them to.
You led us to some things that were found in Black Rock Canyon.
Tell me about what they found up there.
They found all of the gloves that I told you about.
Mm-hmm.
They found those masks and the boots, and then
were you wearing those boots?
I was.
Whose boots were they? Were they your boots?
I found the boots at my welding classes back inside the...
Okay, so you wore those boots at night when you're in the house? Okay. And he wore his Converse?
Yeah. Is that the first time you'd ever worn those boots?
Yeah.
Okay. What was the purpose of wearing the boots?
It was like, cooler.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you end up in all of this?
Well, Friday, I filmed me and Satori at school, walking around and stuff. And then we had Cassie on tape and stuff, and I was talking to her.
When was that? On Friday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything that night on tape when you went up to the house?
No, it says driving this car on the side.
Okay. Any audio on there?
Yeah, it's got it.
Is there anything incriminating on there that's gonna... Why were you getting rid of it?
Not only was there incriminating evidence on the videotapes, but Brian and Tori's banter only makes it seem like they had no plans of stopping after Cassie. At one point, Brian even said, "So we're gonna kill her and her friends, and we're gonna keep moving on, scare the shit out of them and kill them one by one. Hell yeah."
Well, we took everything that was in his trunk, and we found socks. There too, and I don't know how this got there either.
But when you go in the house, are you sure you don't film what happens?
No.
Okay. Did you ever think about filming what happened? See, like, people's expression? Yeah.
Yeah.
What made you decide not to?
Well, if you're holding a camera in front of that, you're gonna make,
the same effect.
Yeah.
Okay. So really the videotape has nothing to do with this incident?
No.
Okay.
Oddly, Brian still seems to be trying to convince the investigators that there's nothing incriminating on the videotape. Perhaps he thought they had destroyed it and the footage would never be seen. But in reality, the clips clearly show both boys being enthusiastic and deliberate about the planning of the murder. But at this point, Brian is still trying to downplay his involvement.
Did Tori ever talk about seriously doing this beforehand?
No.
Because I'm kind of getting from talking to Tori that he really pretty much can't stand Matt. I mean, Matt's okay, but he really doesn't like Matt.
Okay.
Do you ever get that impression?
No.
Okay. Nothing like that to you?
Didn't really hang out, but...
Okay.
Brian seems to be feeling like he's in the authorities' good graces, and they're deliberately being sympathetic to gain his trust. But as they're about to reveal, he's far from off the hook, and they aren't easily accepting that he wasn't in on the attack.
The problem that we kind of have with this whole thing is, and again, you have been fantastic, okay? But sometimes the truth can kind of be hard to tell, okay? But it looks like two of the knives have blood on them. Okay? So how can you explain that to me?
How come there's 4 knives? Do we ever answer that?
Those were just props for the movie. But what we were using that we were gonna have. But
when were you guys gonna make that movie?
Well, we were starting the script pretty soon, and then we'll start filming for film.
Okay. So let's go back to the knives. There's 2 knives, 2 distinct different knives. 2 of them have blood on them.
Okay.
How does the blood get on both those knives?
Well, we put them like a shirt. We wrapped them up in a shirt.
The blood is layered on the knife. See, there's blood that's transfer blood, where I would, like, if I had a bloody nose and I'm holding it, and then I take the towel and put it against you, and it's blotted. Okay, that's called transfer blood. This is layered blood. Okay, and they say that once you go in to something and come back out, the blood is layered on the knife. It's not transferred.
Okay.
So they know that both knives have gone into the body. Brian, does he make you put the knife in her? Do you stab her too?
No, I don't stab her.
Are you sure you don't stab her? I know you don't want to stab her. I know that that is the last thing in the world that Brian would ever do. But does at any time does Tori make you stab her?
The interrogator is entering Read Step 7, offering Brian a more socially or morally acceptable explanation for what happened by stating things like, I know you don't want to stab her.
Are you sure? Because I want you to think about this. I know that there's a lot going on. The mood, you know, the screaming, the gurgling, the sounds that you're seeing, probably the smells that you're smelling now of blood and that smell. Okay, you've got a lot going on. You've got a burst of adrenaline. Okay, if he's yelling at you, are you sure you don't see your hand coming out accidentally? Are you sure that you don't stab her accidentally?
Again, the interrogator is offering Brian a more socially or morally acceptable explanation for what happened by stating he may have accidentally stabbed her.
Is that possible that that happens?
I dropped my knife. Drop it.
Do you drop it after you stab her? Because we definitely have, she's going, okay, the thing, I want you to think back, okay? Some of the stabs are real deep. You know, they're horsemen. Those are not you, okay? I know that. And then some are real light. They said, and they said that some of them are just little pecks on you. And you know what? I'm thinking that, you know, you're caught up in a situation. Is Tori, is the fact that he's doing this and scaring you, are you scared that if you don't do this, something might happen? I mean, is that possible?
When Brian's shoulders slump, the interrogators are finally on the cusp of getting what they want. This is the body language of resignation or surrender. Confidence has left the suspect, and he is now torn between finding the energy to keep minimizing his own role in the crime and fully admitting to what he did.
I don't think you're stabbing her to kill her. I don't think you would ever in a million years, Brian, do that, okay? But do you get caught up in the moment and you're just doing it to show him so you don't get turned on? Does that happen? Be honest with us, okay? Is that what happened? Do you just barely get it? Just to try to get the hell out of there? Is that what happens?
Read Step 7 has worked here. A minimized version of events, coupled with false sincerity from the interrogators, which is Read Step 5, breaks Brian after all this time.
Okay.
How many times did you think? I mean, was it just a couple or two? What's that? You didn't want to? We know that. We know you didn't want to. I don't know, 4 times. Okay.
Brian puts his face in his hands. This is a classic indicator of guilt and shame. Hiding the face, avoiding eye contact, trying to erect a barrier between himself and the circumstances, both physical and psychological.
Was it just in the stomach area or the chest or leg? Okay, your leg. Okay.
Where else?
Well, then you can choose something from the chest and put the weight in.
And you said you threw the knife down?
Yeah, I dropped the knife.
Where'd you drop the knife?
All the stairs.
And then you pick it back up?
No, he picks it up.
Yeah, you're being square about Tori stabbed you too?
Yes.
Okay, so you're solid about that?
Yes.
Okay, so he's not the one standing watching, okay? He's right there.
Yes.
We're good. Okay. Because I just want to know that. We can work through anything that we got going on. Is there any way that you can remember the chain of events that takes place? Is he stabbing her maliciously and trying to hurt her? What makes you finally have to stab her?
She comes over and says we have to make sure she's dead. You need to stab her. You need to stab her. I don't know what to think. And I say, I can't do it. And she said, you need to stab her. Just do it quick.
And what do you do?
Stab her in one leg, and he says, that's not going to work. She has to die.
Okay, so why is he so close? Which is probably, but I mean, you said before, she's probably already dead anyway. So what you're doing, you're not killing her. He's the one that killed her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he just kept saying that.
And finally, Brian was interviewed one last time on September 29th. The pace and demeanor of this interview is far more relaxed. At this point, the police have what they want. Now they're just trying to gather more details. While previous interrogations saw Brian sitting next to the door, next to freedom, per se, these final interviews show him backed into a corner. This emotionally places him in a position where he knows he has nowhere to go. Even the truth at this point will do him no good. Brian says he's been advised not to talk.
I'm not supposed to talk to you again, so.
You're not supposed to?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, so why did you said you wanted to talk to us, all right?
Yeah. Because that was I'm an attorney too.
Oh.
Okay, I want to hear what you say, so.
Well, you have the right to talk to us without your attorney, but you have to make
But that's entirely up to you, and we can talk to you. I mean, I guess we can kind of fill you, a little bit,
Again,
something that maybe we could do this, maybe we could just tell you, you don't have to answer any questions, but we could tell you kind of what we might need from you, and then you can evaluate whether that's something that you want to tell us, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you're in control.
Saying that Brian is in control is the furthest thing from the truth at this point. They let him know that they've seen the videos he and Tori taped.
You know that when we found some stuff up at the old dump site there that, especially the video, a lot of things on the video that's not looking real good, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Makes you both look pretty bad. And like I said, you're going to have to just come to terms with, like I said, you're doing the right thing, being straight up and telling us everything.
The interrogators now touch on another aspect of the videotape.
It's on the videotape. It shows you guys going to another girl's house.
Yeah.
Whose house was that?
On the tape?
It was maybe on Thursday the 21st is when the tape says, and you're going to a house, and you're stalking around a house, looking at a house somewhere, some other girl. You're thinking about looking, seeing if your parents was there or not there. I don't know.
The police are trying to put together a psychological profile of Tori at this point.
Have you ever gone out, or have you heard Tori ever talking about like choking out cats and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Have you ever done that? You ever done that with him?
No, I
Like
love animals a lot.
Well, he doesn't.
No, he said that he carried I thought the cat was a bird in the ground, and then he got a feed hacker, and the cat made me extremely mad. He come at,
You buried it maybe up to its head and then hit it with a weed whacker, is that what you did? Okay.
Yeah.
And did he say anything specifically about choking him?
I remember him saying that he had a kid and like popped its eye or something. He made me mad about that kind of stuff. Because I have a couple cats of my own.
What about anything else? Did he talk about killing anything else? Or mutilating it, or did he?
He's talked about I killed some animals.
Has he stabbed any of them before?
I don't think he's anything like that. No.
In the video, he talks about he wanted you to stab him so he could feel what it felt like or whatever before you guys, committed suicide or whatever. Had he ever talked to you about that before? Did he want you to stab him?
Just at school, on the tape. That's what he said.
Commanders. Brian's attorney's here. Okay.
Brian's attorney shows up, and the interrogation ends. In the end, Brian and Tori were each charged with 1 count of murder in the first degree and 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder in the first degree. They were tried as adults and convicted during separate trials. Brian's conviction for the conspiracy charge was later overturned, citing errors in jury instructions, but his life sentence without parole on the murder conviction was upheld. Tori also received life in prison without the possibility of parole for the murder, as well as 30 years to life for conspiracy to commit murder. In court, Brian's counsel argued that the videotapes of the boys were part of a horror movie they were making. In the transcripts of these clips, it can be seen that Brian and Tori said things like, "We're going for a high death count. We're going to make history. We're 6 psychopaths who get their pleasure off killing other people. And we're going to be just like Scream, except real-life terms." They also compared themselves to serial killers like Ted Bundy, the Hillside Strangler, and the Zodiac Killer, saying, "Those people were mere amateurs compared to what we are going to be." Cassie's autopsy revealed that she had been stabbed approximately 30 times, and 12 of the wounds were considered potentially fatal. As authorities have finally been able to piece together the puzzle of this crime, it is believed that after Matt left, Brian and Tori turned out the lights again and waited for Cassie to come downstairs, but when she did not, they went upstairs, where they were growled at by the dog before Brian opened and slammed a closet door at the top of the stairs to scare her, and then ambushed her with the brutal attack.